What's up? This is E.J. Stewart.
What if I dropped 40 days, 40 nights?
One, you can't do it.
All you are your words. If there's anything you learned about me, I'm going to keep it 100 with you.
Every morning, every night, for 40 days.
Going to be a long 40 days this year.
My skill shot will hold for your city for 40 days, 40 nights.
Rest in peace to all my ops.
For 40 days. If I can do that, then everything will be okay.
You're the guy who can't finish a sandwich. You think you can go 40 days? This isn't normal!
Oh, you're wrong, brother. I'm gonna go the distance.
Let's go!
Let's go is right. What's up? This is EJ Stewart. You are watching 40 Days, 40 Nights with your boy, EJ Stewart, where I do 2 live stream shows per day. 1 in the morning, 1 in the evening. This is the penultimate day to the end of 40 Days and 40 Nights. That's kind of sad. That's kind of sad. I'm sure some of you guys actually probably even want to boo at that. I know. I'm sorry. Listen, I'm sorry. This was always going to be a limited thing, and it's been an awesome journey so far, but we are nearing the end. It does not mean we can't come with some phenomenal content and some phenomenal shows coming up in these final days. I announced it last night, but for those who were not on the night broadcast, which was night 38 of 40 Days of 40 Nights, which is, by the way, you can also watch on YouTube and go to our podcast channel where it is already up. Last show of the entire shebang, night 40. Of course, it's Kendall Friday, so Kendall will be here. But I also announced that we will have Maggie Gray and Andrew Perloff live together on 40 Days and 40 Nights. I know the previous attempt at putting them live together with Bogish and Manny did not work because there was too many people and too much for my computer and my internet to handle. Apologies for how frustratingly inconvenient that was. This one should go fine because I've had 2 people before, so I think we should be totally fine. This is going to be a lot of fun. I'm really excited to have both of them on. That's going to be an absolute dandy. So Friday, our last 40 Days and 40 Nights, not only will you have your Kendall Fridays, you will also have my good friends Maggie Gray and Andrew Perloff live to talk about sports, talk about whatever the future holds for them, and whatever other nonsense we get to, as we usually get into some kind of nonsense when I'm talking to Maggie and Pearl. So that's going to be a lot of fun. I really can't wait for that. But this is going to be a good show today. We got a lot to talk about today. We're going to talk about what happened at Madison Square Garden. You had a marquee matchup. The lights, camera, action, stars were all out. You got the defending champion, Oklahoma City Thunder, coming into the Garden to face a pretty hot New York Knicks team that have won 3 in a row and are in the toughest stretch of their season. And I think if you were watching this game, slow start at the beginning. Both teams didn't shoot ball that great, except for basically Chet Holmgren. But you ended up getting a thriller. It was a really entertaining, fun game. Thunder win this one. A lot coming out of the game is what always happens with the Thunder is the officiating. I'll give you my thoughts on the officiating. Mike Brown got a technical foul in this game, and he has some post-game comments talking about the officiating as well. Again, spoiler alert, I thought the officials were absolutely awful. So we'll get into that in a little bit. So we'll talk some Knicks Thunder. Good game at the Garden last night. We'll also talk about the Patriots, who released Stefon Diggs. Stefon Diggs, it's grand opening, grand closing for him. He had just 1 year with the New England Patriots, and he's already out. He also had a pretty serious domestic violence case that he is being, investigated for. He's facing charges with that. So we'll break down the latest with Stefon Diggs and where the Patriots go from here. Also, you heard it here first. This is something you heard here first on 40 Days and 40 Nights. I don't think anybody who's been talking about Kyler Murray and his future, I said this weeks ago, that I was like, I'm not convinced that this guy doesn't end up picking up a baseball bat after this season. I told you guys that. I said, we're talking about, where's he going to fit? I'm like, listen, this guy was a first-round pick. He's still kind of young. If this thing don't work out, or if it's kind of like just a meh situation wherever he goes next, it would not surprise me if you say, let me try this baseball thing. Well, I was about to call them Oakland Athletics. Sadly, they're no longer the Oakland Athletics, but just the Athletics, because it's ridiculous over there. The Athletics, who currently play in Sacramento, their general manager has come out and said that we are open Kyler Murray, you want to come play some baseball? We will take you in with open arms. So we'll talk about what the general manager for the A's had to say about Kyler Murray's impending NFL free agency. And then, I love beef. Gotta talk beef. And Russell Wilson deciding to re-engage in what his squabble on the internet was with Sean Payton in an interview with Bustin' with the Boys. Now, to be clear, he was asked about what happened. But he didn't mince words about how he feels about Sean Payton in that situation. You'll remember Sean Payton took a shot at Russell Wilson after the Broncos survived a October game against the New York Giants. Russell Wilson was not too happy about it. Took to social media, took a absolute flamethrower to Sean Payton. And here, this was his first comments on Bustin' with the Boys, explaining kind of what went into that and kind of how he feels about his relationship with Sean Payton, where it stands at this point in time. So excited to talk about that because I love some beef. And finally, it's here. I don't know if you love it, but I know I love it. And damn it, you're gonna sit here and listen to me talk about it. I sound like what's the name? Costanza's dad in Seinfeld talking about Festivus. Like we're gonna talk some Love Is Blind. Season finale happened last night. Or yesterday, actually. Actually, ended up watching it during the day. I didn't talk about it last night because I wanted to make sure anybody who wanted to watch last night, you got your opportunity to watch. I watched it yesterday after yesterday's 40 Days and 40 Nights Day 38 show. We're going to talk about the finale. It delivered. I can't front. It delivered. And pretty much whatever you would have wanted out of this show, what you would have expected, you got. And you got in some very entertaining ways. So we'll break down the Love Is Blind finale. There's a reunion happening next week. Unfortunately, 40 Days, 40 Nights will be over, so you're probably like, thank God, at least I'm sad 40 Days and 40 Nights is over. But you know what? I don't got to hear EJ, talk about Love Is Blind anymore. I don't need to hear his thoughts on our Love Is Blind reunion. So if you want to see those thoughts, you got to go to social media. Go to my Twitter, EJ_Stewart. I won't be doing a one-off podcast talking about Love Is Blind. At least that's not the plan for next week. So we'll talk about the Love Is Blind finale a little bit later in the show because that was a trip, as it always is. I mean, the show delivers. It's just, you can talk about all the dating reality shows that are out there. I feel like Love Is Blind right now. Still, even though there's a lot of evidence, even in this episode, obviously, to explain that love is definitely not blind. But damn it, love is entertaining. And that's why I'm going to keep watching this because this is entertaining stuff. So we'll break that down a little bit later. Again, 40 Days, 40 Nights with your boy EJ Stewart, streaming live multiple spots, including streaming live on YouTube, New Generation Media. We're also streaming live on X, EJ_Stewart. And because I just hit the button, we're now also streaming live on Instagram. I really wish I could just hit one button and then they go live everywhere. Instagram is the only one where I go to another tab and hit another button in order to go live. But we're streaming live. Apologies to Instagram audience who missed the first 7 minutes of the show. But we are live. We've been live for a little bit. This is EJ Stewart, 40 Days, 40 Nights. And we're going to get this ball rolling. Of course, make sure you follow me on those places. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, New Generation Media. Make sure you follow me on X, where we're live, EJ_Stewart. And make sure you follow me on Instagram, Action EJ. You'll find me on Instagram. Like I say, every episode, all episodes get podcasted on our podcast channel. So just search New Generation Podcast Network to get all episodes of 40 Days and 40 Nights and all other episodes we produce here at New Generation Media. Okay, let's get it going. Let's talk about this basketball game. That was a good one. It's a good one in Madison Square Garden. So the Thunder, they're the world champs. They come into the Garden and they take care of business. They beat the Knicks in what was a very entertaining, very close game, 103-100. The Knicks had been a solid defensive team during this stretch where they've won 3 in a row. It's been a while since they've actually given up over 100 points. And the Thunder just barely got over that. So another good defensive effort from the New York Knicks. Knicks had problems scoring the ball in this one. They scored just 40 points in the first half. Jalen Brunson, it took a while for him to find any kind of rhythm. He shot 5 for 18 from this game. He struggled mightily. And the Thunder and the amount of guards they throw at him, the different coverages they throw at him, this is definitely a tough matchup for Jalen Brunson. And he had his problems with his team, no question. But the Knicks did fight back. I thought Landry Shamet continues to be a revelation for this team. He's really, I had said a bunch of times, I'll say it again, he's really becoming one of my favorite Knicks because the guy brings energy, he brings shooting, he brings aggressiveness. And he really turned the game around in the third quarter, where Knicks stormed back and won the third quarter by 13 points. They won 40-27 in the third quarter. Landry Shamet ended up finishing the game with 14 points. He also played some really solid defense. He just brought energy. This was at a time when Josh Hart had hurt his back and actually went out of the game. And I didn't think he was coming back. He ended up coming back late in the game because Cat fouls out. But Josh Hart hurts his back, goes to the locker room. He's on for there for a while. And Landry Shamet comes in and basically changes the game and turns it upside down. So you had a barn burner down the stretch, but the Thunder do what they do, man. Like when they get to late game situation, late game defense, they know how to just, turn the water off. And the Knicks has had tough times consistently getting to their offense, consistently getting shots. Again, the shots that didn't fall. They shot in this game 10 for 35 from three. That's not going to cut it. That's 29%, only 10 3-pointers made. It wasn't like the Thunder shot amazingly in this game. Chet Holmgren, again, was awesome. He had 28 points, but he had 22 in the first half. And he was just on fire. And he really helped kind of steady them. This is a game that, like I said before, a little annoying because of the nature of when this game was scheduled. You don't have Jalen Williams. You don't have Mitch Robinson. This is a game being played on a back-to-back. So for the NBA, again, forgive me if whoever actually was the first person to put it out there, but they were right. I mean, you can get your act together. You can't have this kind of marquee matchup, national TV game. I mean, we watched, and it was good, and it was entertaining, but both teams not playing at their strong powers. We know how important Jalen Williams is to the Thunder. He's the second best player. He's an all-star. And we know how important Mitchell Robinson is. He's the best offensive rebounder in the NBA. He's a defensive anchor. Like this was a great game, but still not quite everything you would see in terms of the kitchen sink of what a Thunder Knicks potential finals matchup would look like. So that was a little unfortunate, but at least you still got a great game. And my takeaway from it is, number one, if you are a Knicks fan, I would not feel very discouraged about what you look like in a matchup against the Thunder. Last year I would have. The way the Thunder just annihilated them, especially when they went to Madison Square Garden last year. The game they played in OKC, the Knicks were competitive in the first half and they got blown out in the second half. Now that was the story of the Knicks season, was non-competitiveness against good teams in the regular season and then showing a different medal in the playoffs. So that's one thing. But I will say that I do think that they're in a position now where they're playing much better against these better teams, and who knows what that means for the postseason. This game, the Knicks looked like they belonged on the court. And that sounds silly. I'm not trying to give you moral victories. I'm just telling you what I thought. Like, they looked like a team that belonged. They didn't look like they were a team that was completely outmanned or completely, the talent discrepancy was so high they had no chance to compete. They were right there with the Thunder, and the talent discrepancy didn't look crazy at all. The problem was their star players performed at a high level, Chet Holmgren and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and the Knicks only had one star perform. Karl-Anthony Towns performed. But once again, the issue remains in terms of how they get him involved in the offense. He has 17 rebounds. He had 9 offensive rebounds. He essentially shout out to Cat, and he deserves credit because everybody wants to talk about when he plays bad, they want to go crazy on this guy. I think that he seems like an easy target. I think that's why. When the games when he plays great, nobody seems to want to say anything. Like, he was awesome last night. His defense was awesome. He did pick up some dumb fouls. There were also some tough calls on him, and we'll get to that in a second. The defense was good. He had 9 offensive rebounds. He had 17 rebounds total. He was 7 for 8 from the field. He was a physical presence around the paint. He was awesome. But why does he have 8 shots? The Knicks, Mike Brown has to get it through these guys' heads. They do not have a shot to win an NBA championship if Karl-Anthony Towns is not the 1A focal point of the offense. It is very simple. I understand he does things that are annoying. I understand he'll drive you crazy with some things. I get all of that. But there is no excuse for a game where Mikal Bridges shoots 6 for 17, OG Anunoby shoots 6 for 17, and Jalen Brunson shoots 5 for 18, and Cat has 8 shots. That is unacceptable. That is unacceptable, and I do think, why I thought Brown, in terms of his rotations, of substitutions, I thought he did a good job coaching the game from that standpoint. He's got to get in huddles and tell these guys, yes, I know we're running a free-flowing offense. That free-flowing has to also ensure that Karl-Anthony Towns gets shots. Get him the damn ball. That's inexcusable to have a game where he plays 33 minutes against a small team. The Thunder play small all the time. They'll play the bigs together a little bit with Isaiah Hartenstein and Holmgren, but for a lot of this game, they really played small. Hardenstein only played 17 minutes, and he was like a non-factor. He had 0 points, 5 rebounds. He did nothing out there. They were playing small most of the game. So if they're playing small and Cat's got these little guys on him, or Chet Holmgren, who's a good defender but is obviously very light, why aren't you pounding him underneath the basket? It was nonsensical. Shout out to Cat for playing with the right way, playing with the right attitude, and he didn't let that affect his defense or his energy. He was able to score all those points because he got so many offensive rebounds too. Some of these were just putbacks. Some of these just him being around the basket and just being bigger and stronger. He imposed his will. Why was he getting the basketball? That's also on Jalen Brunson too as the point guard. Like, he has to get the basketball. This team is too good. They're too good defensively. So you think we're gonna just dribble, throw off a three, dribble, throw off a three, and then you're gonna beat them. You're not. You're not gonna beat this team like that. The Knicks were close in this game because their effort was there, and the defense was there, and the intensity was there, which that was great to see. They brought the fight. I'm glad they brought the fight. Again, this is a team that's trying to win a championship, so fight's not enough. You got to execute. And there was not enough execution when you started to see the shots weren't falling. That the one guy who potentially has an opportunity to make an impact on the game offensively and split things, he doesn't take a three. I mean, Karl Anthony Towns is arguably the best three-point shooter on this team. Like, we could talk about, obviously, Deuce McBride's out. You want to tell me it's Brunson, or you want to tell me it's Shamet? I mean, sure, you can make that case. But Karl Anthony Towns is a deadly three-point shooter. How he doesn't get any three-point shots, and I'm not going to say that the Thunder don't deserve any kind of credit defensively. They are a great defensive. They are probably the best defensive team. Totally get that. But that also can't happen. There should not be a game where you're playing the Oklahoma City Thunder and Karl Anthony Towns not only just takes 8 shots, and he's 7 for 8. He only made every shot he put in. He also takes no threes. That should never happen. So that's a bad job. He ended up being a minus 18 in this game. That plus minus I don't think is a really good indication of his impact in the game. I thought he played well. 0 3-pointers is insane. That should never happen. So that was really unfortunate. Shannon, by the way, was plus 12, so that was indicative of how he played. He definitely changed the game for sure. But so that was one aspect of this game. Knicks had their chances. They had 2 very good looks at the end. I thought Brunson was going to nail that 3 in the corner, and OG got a look that looked good, but he just was short. And you lose on a last shot to potentially try to send the game to overtime. A little bit of fun overtime, see how that game goes. Thunder were getting some foul trouble. Lou Dort got fouled out. Cat got fouled out. I would have loved to have seen 5 minutes more basketball just to pick up more information on what this matchup looks like. But it was a good matchup, no question. I mean, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. I don't know if you guys know how I feel about him, but anybody who knows how I feel about him, I say he was the best player in the NBA, so you guys do know how I feel about him. I mean, the game feels like the Knicks are making a run, and they need one more stop to maybe kind of give them a chance to come back in this game, really. And then he pulls out his first 3-point attempt of the game, step back 3, just nylon. You're just like, this guy is on another level. This guy, he's unreal. And with that aspect of his skill level being unreal, we do have to go to the officiating. Because that was also a story in this game. And I'll be honest, I'm kind of happy this game happened. Because we've had all of the conversations about the Oklahoma City Thunder and officiating. Now, I know they've obviously played in playoff games and game 7s and NBA championships. I understand they've had more high profile games. But I still feel like the fact that the Knicks got to play this team and got to fully experience the Oklahoma City Thunder whistle in a way that was mind-boggling for a game to be played at Madison Square Garden. And for Mike Brown to point out how terrible the officiating was, I'm kind of glad it happened, because at least now you go into a finals matchup, A, you kind of know what to expect, but B, now the officials are a little bit more on notice. I mean, it's not like they haven't been on notice, because people talk about this team all the time. But like most things, everything is bigger and more amplified when it happens at Madison Square Garden and it happens to the Knicks. That's just the reality. Or the Lakers. Same thing. So I think this is kind of good that this happened, as much as it sucks. That a game that I think the Knicks had certain whistles gone another way could have stole. And seriously, they had 2 reviews that were very questionable in terms of overturning. Dort knocks the ball out of bounds on a loose ball for a rebound. Cat is trying to like knock it out. He's going on top of him, and they call an approximate foul on like when the two guys are fighting for the ball. I thought that was egregious. I'm like, what? They're fighting for the basketball. Like, what do you like? Yeah, Cat's 7 feet tall. He's gonna try to swing over a guy. This was not your typical push a guy in the back. Like there are some over the backs that are very clear. This was not that. This was a one arm swipe over Dort's body to try to touch the ball and knock it out of bounds, and Dort knocked it out. Again, these are overturning. I understand if like call stays, like they call a foul and Mike Brown challenges or something. Okay, that's one thing. Inconclusive evidence to overturn calls. You're overturning that? Really? To give a foul to Karl-Anthony Towns? Nobody wants to see Karl-Anthony Towns foul out of this game. Like, what are we actually doing here? Like, come on. You didn't call on the court. You didn't see it live. That's not a foul. And then OG Anunoby scores on an and one. That would have cut the lead potentially to 2, I think. And they call a charge where, to me, he seems like he sidesteps Kevin Williams. Williams gets there. I think he kind of comes underneath him a little bit, but it's a bang-bang play. Again, a bang-bang play where OG clearly tries to sidestep a guy, and they still call charge. Again, overturning a basket. I'm like, come on, guys. Really? Those are 2 calls that I thought were just like, all right, guys. Like, 2 of those? Really? And those are game-changing plays. It flipped the possession one play. It took maybe 3 points off the off the game. The Knicks lost by 3. I mean, this is the last 3 minutes of the game. This is happening. Knicks lost by 3 in the game where OG Anunoby scored an and one and could have hit a free throw. And maybe this is an entirely different ball game. I mean, those were terrible calls, and that's why again I can't go too crazy about like the Knicks losing the game because I'm like this is like a couple of things bounced a certain way. It could have been a 103-100 Knicks win. That's how close this game was. But those calls are awful, man. This was a pathetic performance by the refs. And then let's get to Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who, again, is a great player. And I'm not someone who's even I don't care. Like, here's the thing about me when I talk about basketball. I don't care about a guy who draws fouls. Like, I don't care, like, in the midst of, like, the game. Like, oh, man, come on. Like, but, like, in terms of, like, oh, you're a foul merger, I don't care about that. I really don't care. To me, drawing fouls is a part of basketball. Newsflash, people who woke up yesterday. That's how basketball is played. You have to try to draw fouls. He is a master at it. And there are times where, yes, he does draw real contact. And he exaggerates it, but these are fouls if you looked for the foul. Some guys will just play through contact and they don't care. Like Carmelo Anthony, I always thought Carmelo was kind of like, when I watched Carmelo play, he got no whistles. It was always annoying watching Melo play. Not like his fault, but like the referee he was so big and strong, and he was such a bull in the china shop around the paint that like he wouldn't get any whistles when he's clearly taking contact. And I'd always say like, man, Melo's he's gotta flop more. Like he takes contact, just fall down. Like why is he like he's powering through people and the referees, because they think he's the aggressor, they're like not calling fouls when they should be fouls. But man, Melo flopped a little bit more. He gets to the 50 line a ton because he's always taking contact. He's so big and strong. And Shai's the opposite. Like, Shai, as soon as you touch him, he's falling to the ground. And, again, I don't have a beef with that. And I don't even have necessarily the biggest beef with him getting the foul calls. Now, the one they got that fouled out Karl-Anthony Towns was ridiculous, which gets to my point. Is if that's how you're going to call it on one side, you cannot then have the Oklahoma City Thunder playing defense where they're whacking guys, reaching, grabbing, clawing, and all those different things. And the Knicks not flopping to try to get these calls. Like, these people who want to put Jalen Brunson in the same conversation as Shai Gilgeous-Alexander are morons. They are morons. They don't know bleep about basketball. You cannot tell me the way Jalen Brunson plays basketball is in any way similar to the drawing fouls like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Are you freaking kidding me? Did you watch the game last night? Jalen Brunson powers through a lot of contact. Like, Shai powers through none of it. He just is flying as soon as he gets touched. They're not in the same conversation. I can't believe the conversation you'll see talking about, oh, yeah, the calls that the Knicks and Thunder get. The Knicks don't get anything close to the whistle the Thunder got. Are you kidding me? They'd have 45 wins if they had the Thunder whistle. So, and maybe the Cat whistle. Come on, give me a break. So, I mean, the last play where Shea clearly, I saw it live, hooks Karl-Anthony Towns' arm and then shoots to draw a foul, a call that they regularly call against Karl-Anthony Towns. And to the point we keep saying, yo, you got to stop doing that. They keep calling a foul on you. Shea obviously hooks his arm and then shoots it and flails into the first row, and they foul out Karl-Anthony Towns. I actually didn't know. I was kind of wondering if Mike Brown should challenge that. I wasn't sure because I missed some of the first half. I wasn't sure if he had any more challenges. I was like, I might challenge that. Like, he clearly hooks his arm. But, like, I want you to hear from Mike Brown because he did not take this line down. And I respected Mike Brown for what he said about Shea Gilgeous-Alexander and his ability to draw whistles.
SGA he's a tough cover, and he does a great job of convincing the referees, probably better than anybody in the league, that he's getting hit. Yeah, he's tricking the refs, and that's a part of basketball. I'm not like I don't lament this and like, oh, that makes me hate SGA or hate the Thunder. Or, like, that doesn't make I hate the refs. Like, referees, do your effing job. Like, if Shea Gilgeous-Alexander's hooking a guy, if you're gonna call that for Karl-Anthony Towns every time, you have to call it for Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. You cannot call that as for fouling out Karl-Anthony Towns. Like, that was comical to see him foul out of a game for someone else hooking him on a drive. I'm like, is this a joke? Like, what am I watching here? I mean, and again, like, you touch Shea Gilgeous-Alexander to call the foul, and the Knicks are getting contact. Jalen Brunson is getting contact. OG is getting contact. And Cat certainly always gets contact. And there's no whistle. But because they're not flailing and flawing and doing the things that Shea is doing, and I think because Shea is so thin, I think people look at him and he falls to the ground. I think the referees think that, oh my God, he got shot. I got to call a foul. Like, it's freaking basketball, man. Like, it's nonsense, man. The refereeing, I thought, last night was horrendous. I thought it was a pathetic performance by the refs. I thought that 2 overturned calls, really heavy-handed in terms of favoring the Thunder for what were bang, very close plays to overturn. The Shea Gilgeous whistle and Alexander whistle, again, terrible call on the foul to Cat. A lot of ticky-tack stuff that the Knicks are not getting the benefit of the doubt on the other side. I mean, Lou Dort just smacked Karl-Anthony Towns in the head, and they called the foul, thank goodness. But, like, the Knicks are like, yo, can you, like, review that for a flagrant? He hit him in the head. Like, Lou Dort is just hammering people out there. Like, he's playing football. And he did foul out. Like, they did give him some fouls, thank goodness. But, like, he's playing football out there, and then Shea Gilgeous-Alexander's getting touched, and they're calling every whistle. It's not even. It's heavy-handed towards the Thunder. I did appreciate this from Mike Brown, because he got a technical foul in this game. We'll get to why he got tech. But he said that, like, he feels like, regardless of what happens, he doesn't like the Knicks to feel like officiating is an excuse for them to lose, because they can win regardless of what the officials do. One of the things that I wanted to get across to the guys is we're good enough to win despite whatever the officials are calling out on the floor, and we need to have that mentality, and I give our guys a lot of credit. Yeah, and to his credit, I think the Knicks have done a really good job. But there was a time, I felt like with Tom Thibodeau, where I felt like Josh Hart, Cat, those 2 guys particularly, it felt like they would really get after the refs and be like, guys, enough. Like, stop. You don't see it nearly as much. Something I didn't even notice until he mentioned that. And I was like, oh, yeah. We haven't seen as many technical fouls on, like, Josh Hart. We haven't seen them really argue with the refs quite as much. Josh is always going to argue. And Cat is going to argue. But it's not nearly as much. And they don't seem to let the refereeing, like, there are times where it feels like they used to let the refs just, like, get them out of a game. And this is the kind of game where they definitely, I think in past years they would have. And they didn't. Like, this, the Thunder probably thought they had this game won several times down the stretch because of some tough calls that the Knicks took. And they were able to extend the lead in the last 3 minutes, like 6 or 7. And Knicks kept fighting back. They kept coming back. So Again, credit to Mike Brown for that, and I like that mentality. But one of the plays where he got a technical foul on was on the first half, where Shea Gilgeous-Alexander runs over Jalen Brunson in what would have been his third foul in the first half, which obviously flips the entire landscape of the game. And again, when you think about the contact that Shea Gilgeous-Alexander takes on defensive fouls that they will call on him, he gets to run over Jalen Brunson, and there's nothing. Mike Brown got attacked. He wasn't happy about it. He made it clear that that's the kind of play that we've seen too often with how this game is officiated when it comes to the Thunder and Knicks.
SGA had 2 fouls, and Jalen was there, and he ran him over. It was just like the call that they made on OG. You know, I mean, I don't know. I don't understand why that was a no call, but that should have been his third. The bucket shouldn't have counted, and we should have gone the other way with the basketball. And so to see that, knowing that Jalen is standing there and he's putting his body on the line, and our guys are fighting their asses off, you know, to try to win the ball game, and it didn't sit well with me, obviously.
I feel like this is the game to me where Mike Brown became the Knicks head coach. One of my more infamous rants probably from the 40 Days and 40 Nights is when I was raging about him laughing and hugging and kissing up on Draymond Green. And I yelled, like, are you the coach of the Knicks or are you the coach of the Warriors? What do you want to do? Because we will get your ass out of here. We don't need you here if you love Draymond Green so much. And Mike Brown's done a good job. And I've actually liked much of what Mike Brown's done this year. But this is the first... I kept saying, like, where was the guy that had the laptop that was showing the laptop to show that all the fouls that the Kings were not getting, and it was so fiery. Like, where was that guy? He's been kind of muted and very stoic as Knicks head coach. He's been I've seen a different energy. He's still positive. He's always very positive, but it seems like almost like a lack of energy from him, and a lack of conviction, and a lack of fight sometimes. And I hadn't seen it really at all for this season. That was the only thing that's been weird about him this year. Last night, I thought you saw it. You saw it with the technical foul. Yeah, he's someone that gets text. When I saw that was his first text, I was like, huh. I've seen him explode and get thrown out of games. Like, I've seen him, like, just fly off the handle multiple times in multiple stops. Like explosive ejections. So when I heard that was his first tech, I was like, well, yeah, that makes sense. I've watched almost every game, and I've never seen him get a technical foul. But I also don't ever really see him argue with the refs. But that goes back to Mike Brown's first quote there, he said earlier, where he was like, I want my team to know that they can win regardless of whatever the officials are doing. And he's right, they can. And they almost won this game. They almost won this game despite the refs being out of their freaking mind. So he is definitely instilled, I think, a good namaste in this team to stay calm and stay focused. But this was a game, and when you fight as hard as they did, I think he read the room. Like I thought in Golden State, he did not read the room. And Ramona Shelburne of ESPN reported that people around the Knicks did not think he comported himself in a smart way with how he acted with Draymond Green and the Warriors during that game when the Knicks are amidst the worst stretch of their season and they can't get out of their own way. And Draymond Green is just being wildly disrespectful to them as a team and to their star in Karl-Anthony Towns. And just dirty, by the way. He grabbed his freaking ankle in what should have been a flagrant foul and an ejection, in my opinion. Like he's doing all this crap and you're acting like he's your best friend. It was nonsensical. This one, he read the room. The Knicks fought like hell. You know they feel a way about how the referees are calling that game. He had to get a technical foul there. He got a technical foul. You had to go into the press conference and eat a $20,000 fine and say, this guy is tricking the refs. And the refs are just missing obvious calls. Because they're obvious. They are obvious. It shows that you're in the foxhole with these guys. That you're fighting with these guys. And from that standpoint, I appreciated Mike Brown. I thought he did a good job. I thought he coached overall a pretty good game. The one big miss is they cannot have these games where Karl-Anthony Towns is shooting not 8 shots. That's just, against a team that small, that's even more unacceptable. You know, when they played the Cavs and you got those two twin towers and you got defensive player of the year candidates in your front court, that's one thing. But you can't have these games, like looking at his game log, like, 8 shots here, 9 shots against the Spurs. They won, but still 9 shots.
against the Cavs. I remember he's 5 for 5. Boston 3 for 9. They won, but 3 for 9. Like those games, he has to have double digits. I didn't think that there would ever be a conversation about a basketball game where I have questions about whether or not Cat would get the double-digit shot attempts. But I think if you're Mike Brown, your next film session, that should be everybody's mantra, is we failed as an offense if Karl Anthony Towns doesn't get at least 10 shots. Like, I'm tired of people pretending like Karl Anthony Towns is not some great offensive player. We like to make jokes about him. We like to say, oh, he's got a weird voice and whatever other weird jokes you have about Karl Anthony Towns. I know he's not great defensively. I know he has his flaws. I know he doesn't play the smart. I know all that. He's also a very gifted offensive center. And some of the struggles he had earlier this season, finishing around the basket, the offensive efficiency wasn't there. He is playing much better basketball now. It feels like, I don't know if he was banged up coming into the season. I don't know what was going on. But he looks like he's ready to break out. So give him the ball. Like I understood when he was shooting at a terrible clip around the basket and he was missing all those layups. Like I understood maybe feeling like, yo, we got to move this ball around. But that still wasn't going to be conducive to the Knicks being highly successful, which is why I said you got to trade him. But the Cat they've seen the last 2 months, there is no reason for him to be a wallflower. There is no reason for him to be a third or fourth option. There should not be a game where OG and Mikal Bridges take 17 shots and Cat takes 8. That is unacceptable and cannot happen. I don't know if I want OG taking those amount of shots in the game where he's guarding Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, which he did a pretty good job on, by the way. But like, he's fighting like hell. He's chasing the OG, the best player in the NBA all over the court, hounding him, playing great defense. Yeah, I'm not expecting OG to shoot great in a game like that. That's where you need Karl Anthony Towns, who's guarding nobody, essentially. He's guarding Lou Dortz or, Chet hurt him a little bit, but like when Chet's playing the 4, he's guarding all these other guys. That's where Karl Anthony Towns needs to be a big factor. That's where he needs to be a guy getting 15 shots in this game. So that was one of the things I thought that was a key in the Knicks loss, but a good game. I will sign me up for that kind of 7-game series. I mean, I probably would. I don't know if my heart could take it. The Knicks NBA Finals. I don't know what I'll do if Knicks are in the NBA Finals. I did see the Miami Hurricanes in a college football national championship, and that was tough to bear. Knicks NBA Finals. That's 7 games or 4 games, 7 to 4 to 7 games, however many of that. That I don't know if I could do. One national championship game was almost too much for me to handle. 4 to 7 NBA Finals games for the New York Knicks, that would be a ton. But I think if you're a basketball fan, I think you'd sign up for that. I think you saw some good hoops. Now let's hope the refs don't continue to be heavy-handed with the whistle towards the Thunder, and we figure that out. Again, it's part of the reason why I kind of liked it, because a lot of people are talking about it. Knicks are talking about it. Mike Brown's talking about it. So now you go to an NBA Finals matchup potentially. That's in the back of the mind that this has been mentioned, and that I think was smart. Again, Mike Brown doing a good job reading the room. Head to football. Stefon Diggs, his time with the New Orleans Patriots is over. They've informed him that he's going to be released. So Stefon Diggs will be looking for a new home. But things are going to be complicated with him because he has a domestic violence case involving his chef that he is facing charges with, and we will have to see how that plays out. But right now for the Patriots, this is how it kind of shook out for them. It was kind of an easy decision when you consider the money. So Diggs' salary charge was set to rise from $10.5 million to $26.5 million. This is a massive savings in salary. If he was on the roster by the end of the week, he would have had an additional $6 million guaranteed on his contract. That was something that they could not allow, given not only does he have the situation of being a older receiver, he's 32 years old right now. He had a pretty good year last year, 85 catches, 1,000 yards, but he's facing, again, felony, strangulation, and other criminal charges stemming from a dispute with his personal chef. So he has pleaded not guilty in that case, but he is set for a pretrial hearing April 1st. This is not good for him in terms of those charges. They essentially, which it's crazy what people will allow when you're famous and you're powerful. Like, they essentially kind of, like, he should have technically been like, this case got delayed. Like, he should have been dealing with this case all throughout the playoffs, but his lawyers were able to get the case to be delayed until April, so he could play in the playoffs, which is crazy. And the Patriots stood by him during that time.
very ironically, now that he's about to face the charge, they're like, okay, you get out, get out. Before they put out what I thought was a ridiculous statement, which is like, oh, we've heard Stefon's side and we stand by Stefon Diggs. I'm like, you don't know what the hell happened. And I don't know what the hell happened. I'm not adjudicating either way, guilt or innocence. I have no idea. It has to be investigated, clearly. But I thought their statement, like, oh, we support him. We know that. I'm like, what? Like, maybe take a step back a little bit. But that all we know is all phony baloney, because as soon as then he now has to face these charges and you're coming up on having to pay him $26 million this year, then you're like, okay, now bye-bye. So clearly they were not going to sit around and help him fight these charges. They were like, fight them charges yourself, homie. So Diggs, for us, his career at this point, this is a dicey thing, because I do feel like with these charges, who knows how long this case takes. The NFL is very weird with how they determine who gets to play and who doesn't. The commissioners, the exempt list that they seem to have for certain guys, or guys being kind of put to the side when there are certain charges that are against them and things have to be adjudicated. They seem to have that around, and then sometimes, again, Rashid Rice can just keep playing. For some reason, no one really could understand why he was allowed to keep playing for a year, and then he, of course, got hurt. But, like, they're like, oh, no, you can just play, even though we have cameras of you running away from a torn-up Ferrari or whatever car he tore up in Dallas, highway speeding. Like, you can play, fine. Doesn't matter you injure people. Doesn't matter you hurt people. So it's very weird. I don't know. So I don't know what the NFL is going to do with him. In theory, though, this is the kind of thing that would make most leagues say, you got to take a seat until we figure out what happened with this and figure out charges. Or they might just flat out just suspend them anyway. That could happen. But who's to say? The Patriots don't want to take that risk. You can't pay a guy $26 million and have no idea how often he's going to be able to play, if he's going to play at all this season. Like, the allegations are very disturbing. They're only allegations, to be clear. And maybe Only's doing too much work there, because they could be true. I don't know. But they're allegations. They're not findings and facts, right? We don't know that. That has to be investigated. The allegations are very disturbing. So just based on the allegations alone, this is the kind of thing that if there's any modicum of truth or proof or evidence that comes with this, he's going to sit for a while. So for Diggs being in this stage of his career and being the kind of guy he is, which has been a kind of the perception of a loose cannon, whether that's true or not is really only people who have dealt with him would know, and only he would know. But we know about some of the issues he had in Buffalo, issues he had in Minnesota, issues that coming out of the draft. Like he's always kind of been this like very type A personality. Never anything with domestic violence. This is obviously a whole different level of fighting women. That's not something I knew anything about. But in terms of just overall personality, being a little cantankerous, being that's been a part of his deal, despite what is obvious, which is what is his talent. So we'll see what happens with his career. For the Patriots, I think this obviously is a huge tell that they're going to be in the absolute huge market of trying to make sure that they get a star receiver this offseason. You get rid of a guy that had 85 catches and 1,000 yards. You got to replace that production from somewhere. And it's not going to be from the guys on the roster. They don't have the horses on the outside. I think Keyshawn Boutte, I think he's solid. I think that, he's good as like a number 2, maybe number 3, more of a number 3 kind of guy. On certain teams, he could probably be a number 2. But when you look at their receiving core, it's not great. Obviously, they got really exposed in the playoffs, right? You're talking about Boutte, you're talking about Demario Douglas, Matt Collins, Kyle Williams. I mean, these are just guys. These are Jags, as Steve Smith would say. So they're gonna be in the market for a big time receiver, and I don't think they're gonna. One, I think they could definitely draft one, and then they're gonna be in a situation where I think they could draft and get a guy. Looking at the NFL draft order real quick, Patriots will be towards the end of the first round. And again, there will be guys at the end of the first round that will be available. So it's not like they won't be able to make a pick there. But they'll be drafting at number 31. And I fully expect them to look at wide receiver with the first round pick they have. And potentially try to make a trade for a wide receiver that may be out there. Maybe someone like a Michael Pittman.
Maybe it's someone like A.J. Brown. Some kind of way to boost his wide receiver room. They also could be in a position maybe to sign somebody. They also maybe they're in the business of Alec Pierce. But this to me is your first huge tell that the Patriots receiving room will once again probably look a lot different next year. Booty may be a guy they keep. I think everyone else, they could be making big changes in terms of who actually starts, who gets real time, because they got the goods with the quarterback. Like Drake May is very good. I think he probably played a little above his skis in terms of like the production, the stats, and the win total, and all those different things, which had people thinking he was an MVP. And again, it's a regular season award, so I don't bring that into like whether he should have won an MVP or not. That's pointless to me. But I think we saw during the playoffs, he still has a lot of growth still. Talented, athletic, all the tools, but still developing as a young quarterback. And he still got a ways to go. You got to help him out. You got to get him a number one. You got to get him a real number two. You got to get him guys that can that can get open and make the game easy for him. It just those games in the playoffs when you're playing against those elite kind of defenses. I mean, he played against arguably you can make the case the top 3 best defenses in the NFL are the teams he played in the playoffs in the last 3 rounds. You can make a case that the top 6 or 7 defenses he played were all teams he played in the playoffs, because the Chargers are also a pretty good defense. They're probably in that, maybe not top 5, maybe between 6 and 7, 8 range. Definitely top 10. He played top 10 defenses throughout the entire postseason. For the last 3 games, I would argue he played the number 1, 2, and 3 defenses in the entire NFL. And you saw how he looked. And some of it's on him for sure, but these guys can't get open. They can't beat man-to-man press coverage. They can't beat that kind of defense. So they're going to be in a situation where the Patriots, I assume, will be aggressive with what they do with the offseason and attempting to get a wide receiver. You can't feel good about what you heard about the Eagles' approach to A.J. Brown if you're the Patriots, because I'm sure the Patriots would kill to get A.J. Brown. It feels like I've said a bunch of times, a styles makes fights kind of trade. Seems like everything's up there and on the table for them. The Eagles don't want to trade A.J. Brown in the conference. The Patriots desperately need a receiver. Patriots have money to spend. And they have capital. Draft capital. So it seems like this is 1 + 1 = 2, and they should be able to figure this thing out, and they could get A.J. Brown in there, and all systems go, I would think. But you see the price that they're asking for, which is a Quinnen Williams type package, a first and a second round pick for A.J. Brown. Now, I'll be honest, I don't know why Quinnen Williams went for a Quinnen Williams type package. And Quinnen Williams is a good player. He's kind of around the same age as A.J. Brown, so I can't even say he's younger. He's a very good player. Obviously, he was a Jet. I didn't think he was worth a first and second round pick, especially when you got to pay him to. That seemed kind of outrageous to me. Like the Jets fleeced the Cowboys. A.J. Brown, I guess in theory, plays a more premium position than Quinnen Williams does as an interior defensive lineman, where A.J.'s a wide receiver, a little more premium than defensive tackle and 3-4 defensive end, I guess. But I don't know. I don't know. He's a little older. He's a little bit of a malcontent. We've seen some decline. First and second round pick seems very rich for him. I felt like a second and a fourth made more sense to me for A.J. Brown trade. I think the Patriots would have gladly acquiesced. As this offseason goes on and they get more desperate and we get closer to the draft, will they be aggressive and say, you know what, we got to pull the trigger on this. We got to get this guy here. Now that we've lost Stefon Diggs, we're officially moving on. We'll see. But the Patriots definitely are in a position now to draft quarterbacks and draft wide receivers also. So they're going to be aggressive in that market. And finally on Stefon Diggs, whirlwind year for that guy. I mean, you're a free agent. You go to the Patriots. You're kind of acting weird. It didn't seem like he had enjoyment of wanting to be a Patriot. He wasn't at OTAs. He was missing stuff. I'm like, how you missing stuff? You just got there. He has the relationship with Cardi B, which was very much front and center and very public. And then the whole pink powder that he was giving the women on the on the yacht.
And then he comes and he plays, and he actually plays pretty well. He gets his revenge on the Buffalo Bills, goes into Buffalo, has the best game of his season. Seems like the Patriots are flying high, and they're going into the playoffs. Everybody's excited, and then strangulation charge. Like, whoa, where did this come from? And the Cardi B relationship seems to blow up during the playoffs. Like, it's just, and then there's all stuff with kids and stuff. There's a lot of stuff going on with that guy. A lot going on. That guy needs to chill. Like, Stefon, you're a great player. He needs to chill, though. He's got too much happening. Too much happening with Stefon Diggs right now. Cardi B, other women, pink powder, great performances, but then domestic charges. I'm like, whoa, this guy is like definitely got 5 stars on GTA. Like, what is he doing? Like, can you slow down just a little bit? He's a guy that lives the fast life, man. Hopefully these charges against him, hopefully they're not true, and hopefully that they're able to, if they're not true, he's able to prove that and he can, get back to going back to his life. Unfortunately, if they are true, then I hope that, whatever has to happen in terms of the legal process happens. But definitely a whirlwind year for Stefon Diggs, that's for sure. We got someone in the chat here. Bykowski Alex. Good morning, everyone. I have no interest in Stefon Diggs whatsoever. The decrease in talent is not worth however this turns out. Yeah, I wouldn't touch him. I don't think any teams will. Because of the case. Like, you got to figure out what's going to happen with this case before you make any kind of determination of whether or not you can bring him on your team. He was a lot better than I thought he was going to be this year for the Patriots. I actually thought he was kind of okay with the... I thought he was kind of okay with the Texans before he tore his ACL. He was number 2 option, so he wasn't going to get all the targets that, Nico Collins got. But I actually thought, I watched him play. He actually was on my fantasy team. He was racking up touchdowns. He was great in the red zone. So I thought he was playing okay for the Texans. But then he tears his ACL at age 31. I'm like, all right, I don't like where this is going. So while he's not a guy that's a deep threat anymore, he's not a guy that can stretch the field or make explosive plays. As a possession guy, he was pretty solid. I mean, again, 85 catches for 1,000 yards. These are very high percentage throws. On 102 targets, he had 85 catches. Threw the ball home 17 times, they were incompletes. I mean, that's a very high percentage. So, and Drake May obviously was one of the most accurate quarterbacks in the NFL this past season. So I don't want to pretend like Stefon Diggs was some bum this year. Like, he had a very good year. But you got to imagine that he's not going to get any younger or any faster, clearly. So for a guy who has been declining, how much better can he be moving forward? I think that's a good question. So that combined with whatever may be happening with the strangulation case, you can't touch him. See what happens with that. If that comes out and it turns out the case charges are dismissed, they settle, whatever the case may be, then you could move however you want to move. You could argue do you want a guy that has these charges, and that's another conversation. But you can move differently once you know that. But until that gets determined, you cannot sign this guy and say, well, we'll sign him, and then you realize, well, he's suspended for 10 games. Like, again, that's possible. I mean, we're talking about strangulation. These are very serious allegations. I don't think this is here's 3 games and go back out there and play. Like, if this thing turns out to be true, or he gets found guilty, like that is bad news. And that's probably the end of his career, to be real, if that happens. Get some of the comments in the chat. We've had plenty of people rocking with me this morning. Pretty good audience. 54 people live from X, YouTube, and Instagram combined. Big Friendly was earlier in both Instagram and YouTube. Shout out to Big Friendly. How about them Rams? Yeah, how about them, Big Friendly? I talked about them yesterday. I was surprised you weren't with me on last night. You probably were working. Yeah, Rams, I thought an awesome trade for Trent McDuffie. Awesome trade. Great job by Les Snead, we know is one of the best GMs in the NFL. He lives by the mantra, F them picks. And this was the kind of aggressive move they needed. We had this conversation where we were talking about Cliff Kingsbury, his influence on the offense. I felt like it was more of a gap year for Cliff Kingsbury to get some of the Sean McVay shine and then go into next year's head coaching search and be a new man, which I think is definitely what's going to happen. I think he's going to get a job next year. So we talked about that, and I said, you're talking about the offense and what Cliff Kingsbury can do for the offense, but I'm sure he'll bring some wrinkles and he'll be able to help for sure. He's a smart offensive guy. I was like, what are you doing about the defense? Chris Shula was supposed to be the greatest thing since sliced bread, and a guy who's going to be up for NFL head coaching jobs. And I think a lot of NFL teams watched the Rams play defense in the playoffs, and they were like, this is the guy we're going to give a head coaching job to? We're not giving jobs to like guys like Brian Flores, the guys who are coaching great defenses. And we're going to give this guy a coaching job? That doesn't... Why? Because his dad? Like, that doesn't make sense. So I was like, they need to improve that secondary. That should be the number one thing. Forget about offense. They have enough offense. They can run the ball. Matthew Stafford is a wizard at quarterback. They got awesome receivers. They got awesome tight ends. They got everything. Can they stop people? They couldn't stop anybody in the playoffs. They couldn't stop the Panthers. They were good against the Bears for 3 quarters, and then Caleb Williams turned into Patrick Mahomes, and they almost lost that game. And then Sam Darnold did whatever he wanted against them for 4 quarters. So where is the Rams going to improve their defense? Trent McDuffie is a big improvement. And when they traded for him, the first thing I said was that there's your Jackson Smith and Jigba stopper. At least that's what they hope he is. I don't know if he can do it. It's, he's Jackson Smith and Jigba is amazing, but that's what they wanted him to be. And Trent McDuffie is, I think he is awesome. We always make fun of Tony Romo, and Tony Romo can be a little whatever as a broadcaster. The one thing I will say about Tony Romo that I do always 100% agree with when he talks about is when he does a lot of Chiefs games. He always sings Trent McDuffie's praises so much, and like I totally agree with him. Like I get it. I would be obsessed with this guy too. I think he's a phenomenal corner. If you tell me like maybe I take Stingley first because he can take the ball away. After that, I am hard pressed to find other better corners in the NFL. Christian Gonzalez certainly made a case this year to be right up there too. He's also awesome. He was the best player on the field for the Patriots in the Super Bowl and for most of the playoffs. Like those two guys, maybe you're having a conversation about. Do not give me Sauce Gardner. Don't give me a lot of these other guys. He is phenomenal. So you get a top-notch corner. You give him the 29th pick in the draft. Like I said before, what are the odds for a team that's a win-now team that has to try to maximize these limited years Matthew Stafford has left? What are the odds that the player you draft at 29 next year is as good as Trent McDuffie? Again, 5%? 8%? Like 10% feels high. Like it's very, very unlikely. This guy's an all-pro corner. So I love this move by the Rams. Awesome move. But for the Chiefs, I still was like, I don't know what's going on with the Chiefs. Kind of makes me feel like you're talking about a potential gap year for them. Couldn't pay an all-pro corner. You got Mahomes coming off ACL injury. I know he wants to play right away. I think the Chiefs might be okay with taking a step back in order to really reset their cap, reset their money, and kind of find whatever the 2.0 version of the Chiefs is that's beyond the Kelsey, Chris Jones years. I think this is the soft launching of that by trading a guy who, he's young. Like he could have, in theory, been a part of this. But I think the Chiefs saw last year, we are many steps away from competing for a championship. And we're going to have to tear this thing down a little bit before we build it back up. Mahomes didn't seem very happy about that trade. I am curious how he handles a potential reset of the Chiefs. Because he seems like the kind of guy that wants to compete for a championship every single year. And have the best opportunity to win a title every single year. And that's just not realistic in the NFL. At a certain point, the rubber meets the road. The rubber meets the road. Yeah, the rubber meets the road. Got that one. Third time the charm. Rubber meets the road, and the chickens come home to roost. Eventually, you're gonna have to say, okay, we've ran our course with these guys as a group. We gotta now find a way to get someone else in here and get some new, fresh blood in here to turn things around. Now, he's a young guy. He's a quarterback, so he's got to sit here for all of that. You hope to do it without it having to be very messy or a tank job. The Seahawks showed you can do that and not tank. The Seahawks, I mean, again, I talk about Snyder, their general manager, who arguably, I think maybe the most underrated sports executive in all of North American sports. This guy built the plane while the plane was in the air. I still cannot believe the job he did. You move on from a franchise quarterback in Russell Wilson. You move on from a Hall of Fame coach in Pete Carroll. And then you move on from a second franchise quarterback in Geno Smith. All while never tanking. All while winning 10-9 games a year. and you put together the roster he put together, that was basically a 4-year stretch they had since the end of the Russell Wilson era to their Super Bowl, and they're Super Bowl champions. That is masterclass general managing, and one of the better general manager jobs you will ever see. We always talk about the guys that this guy came in and the team was the worst team in the NFL or NBA or baseball, and now they're champions. And those are great stories. I'm not saying that those aren't impressive. I would argue it's more impressive to take a team that is like in limbo and say, I'm going to turn them into a champion by moving on from Hall of Famers, and we're never going to tank. We're going to make the playoffs, compete for playoff spots, and we're going to win a title with a whole new cast. That seems impossible. You're told, based on the people like me, who I'm pro-tanking, you're told that that's impossible. And this guy did it. So much credit to him. I don't know if the Chiefs will have that same success, but I think that's what they're trying to replicate. That's what they're going to try to duplicate. They're going to make some of these moves, and they're going to hope because of Patrick Mahomes' greatness and because of some of the guys they have that they can still be competitive. But it's hard, and NFL teams know that. So they know that we're going to try to still be competitive and compete for titles, but there's a reality that maybe we do take a step back with some of the moves he's made. That's just kind of how I feel about it. Let's see what else we got here. 40 days and 40 nights. So other chat stuff. I'll see if I can get to all the stuff in the chat. Yeah, and Big Friendly also agreed with me about Kyler Murray, by the way. I said the same thing. He got a baseball contract before he signed his football contract. I see him in MLB for the NFL again. See, he'll play next year. He's going to get, someone's going to pick him up. He's going to get signed. He's going to get this vet minimum from one of these teams. I just feel like if he's seriously talking about playing for the Jets or the Dolphins, he might be picking up a baseball bat next year. Like, I'm just talking about the success level he may have playing football. There are certain teams where I just don't think is very high. If he goes to the Vikings, if he goes to the Falcons, if like Kevin Stefanski ends up saying he wants to move on from Michael Penix and he really likes Kyler Murray, I don't think he'd be kind of a Kevin Stefanski guy, but it's kind of hard to tell. Because there's some guys who say, okay, maybe I see it. Like, he could have success in those spots. I don't think he's having, in Pittsburgh maybe, sure. I don't think he's having success with the Jets or the Dolphins. Just my gut. So if he goes to the Jets and Dolphins and they win 5 games next year and he kind of has another middling season, maybe he battles more injuries, he may look at it and say, like, what am I doing this for? I don't like to study. I don't like all the stuff that comes with being a leader and a face of a franchise. Like Kyler Murray, all the things they talk about with Kyler Murray, it makes sense why he was a great baseball player. Because in baseball, like, unless you're like Derek Jeter or you're Mookie Betts or you're Bryce Harper, who's some other guys? Aaron Judge, Francisco Lindor. I think that's enough. I think you got the picture of where I'm getting at, what I'm laying down. You don't have this pressure of being a face of a franchise. Like baseball locker rooms, football's the same way too, but baseball, not for quarterbacks. Baseball locker rooms are very notorious for like guys going by the beat of their own drums. And guys, it's a kind of a wacky group. You kind of got to try to find some kind of chemistry together and make it work, but there's going to be people who have different superstitions, different weird stuff, and you got to all just make it happen. And they kind of welcome weirdness when it comes to baseball locker rooms. And a lot of it is your own individual success, being able to live with the fact that it's a sport where, 7 out of 10 times you fail, and sometimes some of that, what comes to that comes sometimes like a looseness. Baseball locker rooms, I think in general, are just a lot more loose. So like Kyler Murray, like, oh, he's not really the leadership guy, and he's not studying the way like we think he should, and he's not really being a face of a franchise. Like, he kind of sounds like a baseball player. Sounds like a guy, show up to the ballpark, have a little fun, play a little baseball. Like, he wants to win. He's competitive. He's very competitive. We've seen that. But like the military regimented things that go with football don't feel like it fits him. And that's not the baseball. That's not how baseball works. Baseball teams, baseball locker rooms don't work that way. Like, it makes a lot of sense why he was a baseball player and also like why he was good. I'm like, oh yeah, no, this guy, he feels like a Manny Ramirez, or feels like a kind of guy like, oh, he kind of does his own thing, but he's supremely gifted. Whatever he does gets him right and gets him ready to play every day. And like, there's not all this pressure on just him being the guy. In football, You can maybe be that as like a wide receiver or DB, but you can't be that as a quarterback. So I'm glad that you agree with me, Big Friendly. I think that there's an opportunity where the A's say, hey, come along, man. Come right along. Let's get to that, man, because like I said before, A's GM David Frost said that the team is fully open to Kyler Murray making a decision and perhaps deciding that I'll do this baseball thing. So I want you to read these quotes from the GM, if I can find them. Give me 1 second. I had them up here. I don't know where they went. But I'm to be honest, I'm surprised this hasn't been talked about more. I'm glad someone asked the general manager, like, hey, like, would you be interested in Kyler Murray? Because he's a free agent and feels like he's kind of, I don't want to say on his last legs, but he's definitely like, this is going to be one of his last big opportunities to potentially be definitely a starting quarterback, I think. Because a lot of the situations we're talking about, even if like it's Atlanta or it's Minnesota, he's still competing for a starting job. And if you could play professional baseball, why are you being a backup quarterback in the NFL? Like, in theory, you can make a lot of money, but I think for him, he'd rather get on a field and compete somewhere, and he could be really good in baseball in theory. He was a number 9 pick in the draft. This was not some slouch. This guy was a star. He was considered a 5-tool player. So this is what Frost, I said, I spelled that right. I was like, did I spell his name right? Oh, no, it's Forst. I'm sorry, I did spell his name wrong. David Forst. My apologies to David Forst. Forst, here's what he told MLB.com. Let me change that right there. And that is not how that's supposed to look. That looks crazy. Sorry, try it one more time. Changing the lower third for those listening to the podcast don't know what I'm talking about. So David Forst, who's the general manager for the Athletics, said this: Kyler Murray is an elite NFL quarterback, and I'm sure there are plenty of opportunities for him to continue his football career. That said, he and his baseball representatives know that we're always open to him exploring a return to baseball with the A's if that time ever comes. It's very interesting that Kyler Murray, I guess, still has baseball representatives. Are they not the same people who just do his football work? I don't know. I guess Kyler didn't fire them. Even that his baseball representatives, he said that in the present tense. He didn't say, oh, they knew or we've talked to them. He said that they currently know that they were always open to him exploring a return to baseball with the A's if that time ever comes. And it's probably smart for him to say, hey, he's an elite quarterback. Like, we don't want to turn him off. But, hey, man, we're the A's. We actually got some sneaky good talent. Like, they're, especially in the rotation, in the lineup. The pitching is still coming along. They're a little young there, but they got some studs. I told you guys about my guy Kurtz. He's one of my favorite players in all of baseball. I think you want to talk about a guy who can maybe push Kyle Riley and Aaron Judge when it comes to the most home runs this year. Watch out for Kurtz from the A's. But I think that if I'm Kyler Murray, this is my last go around in the NFL. I'm saying I'm gonna do it this year. Let's hope I stick with one of these teams, or I play good enough that I can get paid like Sam Darnold did. If that doesn't happen, I think he picks up a baseball bat. And the fact that the general manager is saying in present tense that Kyler Murray knows that the A's are open to bringing him back, he knows that in the back of his head. I think that this is something that I think can definitely happen. Do not be surprised next year if we're talking about Kyler Murray returning to baseball and playing minor league baseball for the A's as he tries to make his way through the minor league to get to the show. That is something I think that is totally on the table. And to be honest, I think it would be smart. I don't know why you would pass that up if he has that opportunity. He's that gifted. He's that great an athlete. And again, apparently he was that great a baseball player. This guy was a superstar on the baseball field. 7 years is a long time to not have played baseball. But we've seen guys try this before. We've seen the Drew Hensons. We've seen a bunch of different guys who tried football, didn't work out, and went back to baseball, or vice versa, did baseball, didn't work out, then tried to play football like Chris Wenke. Kyler may be one of the guys with the best opportunity to actually make it happen. Like, the fact that Tim Tebow, who only played high school baseball, like, he got to AAA. Now, I know some of that may be politics, but he got to AAA with the Mets. If Tim Tebow can get to AAA being a non-college baseball player, like a fringe MLB prospect when he was in high school, if he can get to AAA, I think Kyler Murray can make a Major League Baseball team. If you gave him a year to like get his timing right, get everything right, and get and learn relearn his skills from that standpoint again, I totally think he could be a baseball player. the speed alone, the athleticism alone would have him, enter the room with a level of talent that a lot of guys don't have. So he could be a demon on the base pass. He could be probably a demon in the field, assuming his hands are still good. Like, there's value for what he brings just from his athleticism. Now, we got to see if he can pick up the bat again and he can actually swing the bat the way he used to. And we'll see. That's a question mark. Who knows about that? That is really, it's hitting a baseball from major league caliber pitchers, even minor league caliber pitchers, is still probably the hardest thing to do in sports. So that's a huge thing. To not have done it against college athletes for 7 years is going to be hard, let alone then go back and try to not do this with professionals. But don't be surprised, in my opinion, if Kyler Murray ends up lacing up the cleats once again, but not to play football, but to play baseball. Shout out to Russell Wilson. Big shout out to Russell Wilson. Before I get to Russell Wilson, though, I will get into the chat. Some people want to talk about Kyler Murray. Bob Custer, I think, agrees. Baseball is more of an individual sport than football. Talking about Kyler Murray's demeanor. Yeah, like, it's, again, it makes a lot of sense to me why he was a baseball player. And, like, everything we talk about him with what's been going on with, like, the leadership, and is he studying enough, and does he rally the guys enough? Like, those are things that, again, it's like, what? Like, baseball, that never would be his job. He could be who he is, and it would be totally fine. As long as he's not a jerk, as long as he's not an a-hole. Which I don't get the impression that Kyler Murray is an a-hole or a jerk. I don't get that impression. I just think he's kind of aloof. You can be totally aloof and be great at baseball. And that seems to be kind of his vibe. So it makes sense from that standpoint. I agree. Bob says, love taking the over on the A's games at home in their temporary Sacramento crib, Suter health field. Yeah, the ball flies over there. No question about that. What's going on with the A's in Vegas? Like, that's supposed to happen, but it feels like there's no momentum about anything actually happening. At least but I also haven't heard anything in a while. When is this happening? Like, the fact that we even have this is sad. I guess apparently this move's supposed to happen in 2028. Feels like it's a long time that we haven't still gotten anything about whether or not the A's are actually going to be playing both baseball in Vegas soon. I see 2 weeks ago, Athletics say Las Vegas Stadium foundation work complete. So I guess the foundation of the stadium is built. So the team is targeting a return, or rather an opening for the 2028 season. It still sucks that that's happening. Not that the Las Vegas is getting a baseball team. That's pretty cool. The fact that Rob Manfred and the owners of Major League Baseball allow for a team to lose their franchise, especially a historic city and franchise like the Oakland Athletics, that sucks. That sucks. And I understand the Oakland politicians certainly play a hand in some of this for sure. I totally understand that. But whenever we're having a conversation about billionaires and them wanting some subsidies from taxpayers so they can pay for a stadium that they can reap the benefits of through all the money that comes with the opening of a new stadium, sucks. Nasty work. So Fisher, like, I got no love for him, got no love for how that went down. I feel terrible for the Oakland community that they've lost their baseball team. Now they're doing this Sacramento thing like this, and they can't even have the decency to call themselves the Sacramento A's. Like, I don't know. It still doesn't sit right with me. So I don't know. I'm sure Vegas is excited to have the A's coming over. Like I said, I think the A's are kind of a sneaky. I don't think they win a lot of games, but they are not like a walkover. Like, they have definitely a lineup that can hit the ball out of the ballpark. You got Kurtz, you got Soderstrom. They are legit. It's just about, they got Max Muncy now. Like, it's just about, will they be able to pitch well enough? The ballpark doesn't help, and it's kind of why I don't know why Severino wanted to go there. I don't think he did. I think he wanted to stay at Met. But the ballpark makes it tough. That's what Bob Custer's talking about in terms of taking the over. You got a lot of runs being scored there. But I look at their team. Brent Rooker, he was obviously one of the key parts in me winning the Maggie and Perloff home run derby, me taking Brent Rooker, knowing that ballpark and knowing his power. Offensively, the A's have an offensive team that can make the playoffs. Question is, will they pitch well enough? Will they defend well enough? That part of it, I'm not 100% sure, which is why I can't buy the A's completely. I kind of want to buy the A's because I think their offense is so fun to watch. But everything else makes it hard for me to want to really jump on the bandwagon, especially the fact that this is even happening at the freaking Athletics of Sacramento. EJ, the A Stadium is well underway. It looks great so far. The location is a classic Las Vegas corner. Shame the Tropicana Hotel casino is gone, but Nevada is a state of change. Yes. It's funny. We had Murray. Why can't I remember his name? Sorry. Murray the Magician. Sawchuck. Murray Sawchuck. Shout out to Murray Sawchuck. We had him on Maggie and Perloff during Super Bowl week in Las Vegas, and he used to perform a show there at the Tropicana Hotel Casino. So shout out to Murray Sawchuck. I don't know if his show moved or what happened to him in terms of with that show and with that casino. But yeah, I know that was a classic location. I'm still curious how all that's going to work. Like, I've been to Vegas now multiple times. I always tell people, I've told you guys a ton, Vegas is one of my favorite cities in America. It feels like a miscast that I don't drink. I don't go to like nightclubs. I don't really go to adult entertainment clubs. Like, you like Vegas? I'm like, I love Vegas. I've been there 3 times. Twice I've been there in the dead heat of the summer. Maybe not the best idea. It was very hot, but had no choice. It was Summer League and it was the NABJ conference, so that's just where they happened to be. But even despite that, still, despite the ridiculous 105, 108 degree heat, still found a lot of fun. Thank God a lot of things are indoors, and thank God you don't got to be outside to really enjoy the city. I'm still curious. I guess the Vegas nice thing works. I'm just curious, how do people get in and out of there? Does everyone just, how does that work? I didn't know how that works. And then, I mean, Bob, you got to answer the question here. Like, I got to do my own research, I guess. But I guess I was around when the Knights were playing during the week of the Super Bowl. We were there, so I got to see kind of some of that. People coming out of the game. I'm like, where do these people park? Like, there's so much. It's so congested down there. I'm like, how do you have? Okay, hockey is one thing. You're gonna have baseball games now too. How just on the corner of a street that's just like very famous. Like, how the hell is that gonna work? So I'm very curious to see how it plans out. But they've got it figured out. They've got the Vegas Knights thing down, and that's a great atmosphere, great arena, and they seem to do fine with that. You know, it's different when it's like boxing arenas and stuff, because like you got boxing, you know, a big fight once every couple of months or whatever, or UFC once every couple of months. Different when you got baseball where they're playing every day. So I'm curious about how traffic's gonna go. Are they assuming people are just gonna like walk to the stadium all the time? Also, forgive me, is this a track for roof stadium too? I'm asking a lot of questions I probably should know the answer to. But I am curious about, like, is the A's stadium, this is going to be, because I'm hoping they're not playing in 100-degree weather in the summer. Like, I assume this is a retractable roof. Oh, it's a fixed roof. Oh, that's kind of badass. I mean, these renderings look hard. I'm not going to front. Like, these rendering looks hard. Like, it looks like this is going to be a hell of a stadium. Yeah, it looks like it's like partially open. I don't know if I quite understand this whole deal, but I guess I can, in theory. Let me save this picture and show you, I'm not just talking. And you're like, what the hell is EJ talking about? I'm gonna show you guys the picture I'm watching and I see. This is the rendering I see. This looks pretty incredible in terms of just how the stadium looks. Oh yeah, I guess that is glass. I couldn't tell from here. I couldn't tell if this was glass or if this was like an opening here. That's a dome stadium. Yeah, that's going to be tough. That's going to be tough. Okay, so the stadium's not exactly on the corner, but it's like the entrance kind of occupies the corner. Okay, this makes more sense now that I'm actually seeing it. I heard like the vision for it. And again, I've been around Vegas, so I know this street corner well. And I'm just like, how are you going to put a baseball stadium there? But they're basically putting it kind of like in the middle towards the back of the block, which makes a lot more sense. Yeah, this is going to be tough. I can't even front. This is going to be tough. This is a great thing for the city of Las Vegas. Massive shout out to the city of Las Vegas for having this coming down there. That's going to be a lot of fun. But yeah, I am still very sad about what happened to the people of Oakland. The fact that they lost their team. That really does suck. I'll show you guys one more picture just to bring home how it's going to look from the night side version of this. So there's a day part. Here's how it's going to look at night. That's going to be ridiculous. I'm sorry. That's going to be really cool. It's going to suck that this is how, like, Oakland lost their baseball team. But in terms of a home field attraction, in terms of a tourist attraction, like, this is outrageous. If it actually looks like this at the ballpark, this is gonna be the best ballpark in Major League Baseball. Easy, no question. Shout out, man. Shout out to the city of Vegas. I'm not gonna shout out the owner, John Fisher, because I think he's a bozo. But I will shout out the city of Las Vegas and Nevada, man. That looks like that's gonna be a real fun time, and I'm happy you guys have more sports coming to your area. Before we get to our Love is Blind recap, I do quickly want to talk about Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson was up busting with the boys, and he finally explained his viral tweet that took aim at Sean Payton after Sean Payton, if you remember, after a game against the New York Giants, where this was, I believe, either second or third game that Jackson Dart had been placed in the starting lineup and benched Russell Wilson. Sean Payton had said this after the game, kind of with a wink and a nod, considering he used to coach Russell Wilson, about how he was sad that the Giants made this turn to Jackson Dart prior to them facing the Broncos.
You know, they found a little spark with that quarterback. I was talking to John Mayer not too long ago, and I said we were hoping that change would have happened long after our game. But anyway.
This guy's a jerk. I said it a bunch, but, like, I don't know why he's like this. Like, I don't have anything against Sean Payton other than him doing stuff like, why is he like this? Like, why was that necessary? It wasn't necessary. So, Russell Wilson, who usually takes a lot of things sitting down, this was the first time he wasn't taking this sitting down. Because this is what he said on Twitter. Classless, but not surprised. Didn't realize you're still bounty hunting 15 years later through the media. Hashtag let's ride laughing emojis. Everybody was like, oh my God, Russell Wilson, the guy who's he's very religious, very respectful, doesn't talk trash to nobody, very PC, very buttoned up. Who wrote this for him? He couldn't have wrote this for him. I have pushed the theory. Shout out to his lovely wife, Sierra. I have pushed the theory that I thought Sierra wrote this tweet. Sierra's from the ATL. They got Southern hospitality, but they don't just take any nonsense from people. And I thought Sierra said, listen, Russell, we're not going to keep taking this as a family from this jerk that keeps talking about us. We're going to stand up. Give me your damn phone. And she did a quick Google search of Russell Wilson and put this tweet out. I think on the Maggie and Perloff show, we did a poll, like, who do you think wrote this tweet? Russell Wilson or Sierra? And I think Sierra won that poll, if I remember correctly. That's my theory. I think Sierra wrote this. But Russell Wilson clearly was totally fine with the beef, because he put it out there. I don't know if it's still there. I don't know if he deleted it or not. But that was, whoa, where did this come from? Shout out to him, standing up for himself. Not someone normally does. He's someone who takes a lot of slinging arrows and just keeps it moving. He wasn't going to keep it moving here. So that was a shot that Russell Wilson took on social media at Sean Payton. He then sat with busting with the boys this week, and he explained his tweet against Sean Payton.
Sometimes you get fatigued of people talking about you. You just say, like you mentioned, we're all human, But it's one thing for people that maybe aren't in the field or aren't, people say bots or whatever talking. Yeah. Like I don't worry about that stuff. Like that never. But to me, when you've been in the ring, or you've been on the same side of this and that, and I got the same amount of rings as you got, meaning Sean, right? Like, yeah. And listen, I got a lot of respect for him as a play caller, this and that, but to take a shot, I don't like, I don't think it's necessary. Mm-hmm. What I mean? Especially when I'm not even on your own team anymore.
I got as many rings as you, Sean. Put some respect on my name. Woo! I gotta be honest, man. We gotta give a round of applause, Russell Wilson. I don't know why Russell Wilson gets so much crap. I don't know why people feel like they got to dance on this guy's grave. I think there's a lot of projection. I think there's a lot of jealousy. Was he the greatest leader and the most personable guy to these teammates he had with the Seahawks? The answer is obviously no. because there's enough guys saying that he sucked. Okay, that's fine. That's one thing. In terms of a public-facing figure, he's always been a guy who's been respectful, always been a guy that said the right thing. He's always, he has comported himself with class. Can't speak to him having an office or him telling Marshawn Lynch, hey, talk to my personal assistant. I'm not going to give you my personal phone number. I can't talk to any of that. I can only talk to what I've seen from him publicly. Publicly, he's represented his teammates with class. He's represented his teams he played with class. So some of the shots that this guy consistently takes, I don't quite understand. But I think a lot of it is people feeling jealous of this guy. I think they look at this guy and they see this very kind of humble, he's very religious, and very much like he can be awkward. He tries to be cool, but he's kind of awkward because I think deep down, like, he's an athlete, he's a competitor, but I think he's kind of, he can come across kind of nerdy, and then when he tries to be cool, maybe doesn't look the coolest. And people see, oh, that guy shouldn't have all the money and all the praise and the Hall of Fame career and the beautiful R&B singer wife. Like, that shouldn't be him. Like, and then of course there are rap fans who love Future, and then that's a whole other side of it. You know, the fact that he's basically the adopted father of one of Future's kids. Like, so there's a whole deal with that too. But like, I don't know. Like, I don't know why people hate on Russell Wilson so much. Like, I'm not saying he was the greatest quarterback in the world, but he's obviously a Hall of Famer. He was a winner. He was a great player. And okay, some of his teammates didn't like him. That happens. But he otherwise represented his teams with class and dignity. Why are people hating on this guy all the time? I don't get it. So I was really happy that he took the shot at Sean Payton, who I think, again, does not comport himself with class. Does not represent his organizations in a way that is respectful. Like, this is the exact kind of guy that Russell Wilson should take a shot at, because he's the exact opposite. He's the anti-Russell Wilson when it comes to that standpoint. Russell Wilson may come across phony and fake. Sean Payton comes across as a jerk. I will take fake and phony over a jerk every day of the week. Fake and phony, I can just distance myself and understand. Jerk is constantly in my face, constantly annoying me, constantly bothering me. That is way worse. So I'm glad he took Sean Payton down a peg. It's like, you have one Super Bowl. Again, people would give their right arm and their second-born kids to have one Super Bowl, some of these people that work in the NFL. I understand how hard it is just to win one. But you won one, and you act like you invented football when you didn't. You won one Super Bowl. Sure, you got screwed in one NFC Championship game, and maybe you would have won two. We don't know if you would beat the Patriots. But maybe you would have won two. But you only won one for sure. That's the only one you have. And that's all you have for playoff success. And this guy just takes flamethrowers at people, takes shots at people, talks crazy. He's running around like he's Pac when he's not. He's a good coach. He's a great coach. He's a great coach. He's going to go to the Hall of Fame. But he has not earned the level of arrogance that he positions himself with. And he purports to other people like he is God's gift to football, when he is not. He cost the team a chance to win a Super Bowl this year with his stupid play calling and his terrible in-game management. And then he threw his own offensive coordinator under the bus and fired him, even though he doesn't call the plays. So, like, I got, again, no love for Sean Payton in terms of how he acts. Football is different. You want me to evaluate him as a coach? I'll tell you he's a great coach. But I'm also going to keep it real. I'm not going to tell you that he's Vince Lombardi when he's not. So I'm happy Russell Wilson's like, hey, people can talk about how I'm like this washed guy and this clown and this guy. He has the same rings as I have. So who the hell is he to be talking crazy about me? We both have the same amount of rings. And I don't sit around talking about how I'm better than people, talking about how I know this and that guy sucks and this guy sucks. I don't do that. I work with class. This guy doesn't, and he has only one ring, just like me. So don't come around talking crazy about me when this guy thinks he's Pac. Russell Wilson also said this when it comes to Sean Payton, that at the end of the day, it comes down to simple. One word. Respect.
There's a point in time where you have to, I've realized I've stayed quiet for so long. There's a time and place where I'm not, right? And so I think that, for me, I know who I am as a competitor, as a warrior, as a champion too. And, I've beaten Sean too. Like we've been on the same place and same thing. And so it's not a matter of disrespect. Just don't disrespect me.
Oh, I love petty Russell Wilson. I tell you what. We tried to figure out why he did this. He's saying simple, I felt disrespected and I'm tired of hearing the crap. And I think that's true. I don't think that that's untrue. But we also surmise, and I also kind of surmise, that Russell Wilson's career is clearly coming to an end. He is a free agent. I've heard no prospects of like what Russell Wilson's gonna do in terms of what team he's gonna be on this year. Like I have not heard him as an option anywhere. So there's a chance that this is the end. He didn't announce a retirement during this thing, I assume. He said he said recently that he's not retiring. So there's no retirement, but are we guaranteed he's going to get picked up by a team and be a backup quarterback somewhere? I don't know. Who's signing him? Arizona? Maybe Atlanta wants some security for Michael Penix. Like I don't know where he fits as even a backup. Again, Arizona's probably the only place I can think of that he starts. Like, does he go to Miami? I don't know. I don't. Russell Wilson, I thought he had that random 400-yard game against the Cowboys, but should have told you everything we need to know about how terrible the Cowboys defense was. And we knew they were terrible, but that game really showed it. I feel like that game kind of makes his numbers that already look really terrible look better than they actually are, because he had that 450-yard game. The other games, he had a 74 QBR, 74 out of, I guess, 100, which is awesome. That's a very high rating in that game. He had 123 QB rating in that game. His QBR in the other two games he started, the Commanders game, the first game of the season, and then the Chiefs game, the third game, was a 20 and a 5. I mean, again, shout out to Russell Wilson. Great career. He's been a great player. He looked super washed playing for the New York Giants. They didn't have great talent around them. They were not a great team. But then Jackson Dart, to Sean Payton's credit, he did go in there and they did look a little better. They did have a spark. There's no question about that. And should an NFL coach say, I was hoping that we would play Russell Wilson because I knew it would be easy? I mean, come on. That's, again, completely unnecessary. But, like, he might be washed. So I think with Wilson, this was also, for those who wonder, what is he going to be like in his post-career? A media career certainly feels like that is right up his alley. I think he actually ended up doing 1 week of commentary during one of the Giants' bye weeks, I believe. He was in the studio for CBS, something like that. But in order to get into this industry, the reality is you got to say something. And when I say you got to say something, meaning like you can't just kind of be run-of-the-mill, have no opinions. And it's something that my mentor and my good friend Spike Eskin taught me, and not taught me, but told me. It's like, you know, when it comes to, this was particularly radio, but I think it comes with all stuff. Like, people who are good at this and people who do this, they're naturally people who have opinions and want to tell you their opinions. If you don't have opinions on things, then you just shouldn't do this. Because some people make and I'm not saying there aren't bad actors out there. I'm not going to be silly enough. Some people argue there's nobody that makes up opinions. Okay, I'm not telling you that. But what I will tell you is, people will say, oh, like these people everyone just makes up opinions and makes up things for hot takes. That's not true. That's ridiculous, right? Completely ridiculous. What you have are individuals who are natural individuals who have a lot of opinions on stuff and have stuff to say. If you don't have stuff to say, you shouldn't be doing this. I do this show, I do radio because I'm a naturally opinionated guy. I have thoughts on things. I have thoughts on sports. And I'm very willing to engage and share them and have people yell at me and tell me I'm an idiot or tell me I'm smart and I'm the greatest thing. So it's like, right, whatever the case may be. I'm willing to engage in that way because I have opinions. But the point that Spike was making was that, like, in order to do this, like, don't do this if you don't really feel strongly about anything. And that's what anybody, in terms of these professional athletes who get into this field, that's everything they have to deal with too. You just saying, oh, I'm a professional athlete, so I deserve a media job. That doesn't make you good. That doesn't make you someone that is going to be good at doing the art of being a sports analyst. I hate to call it art, but whatever. You know what I mean? The job of a sports analyst. If you don't have opinions, it doesn't really matter. If you don't have opinions that
I don't want to say go against the grain, but all your opinions are just run of the mill, like you don't have anything interesting. Again, that doesn't help anybody. So I thought this was Russell Wilson kind of floating the trial balloon of like, hey, you guys think I'm just this like nice little PC, I don't upset the apple cart kind of guy. Oh no, I'll take shots at people. I feel a way about people, and I'm not afraid to talk about it when my career is over. I thought this was his kind of trial balloon to be like, hey, how do people feel about a more spicy? You remember that drop that man used to play on Maggie and Perloff? How would they feel? How would they feel about a spicy Russell Wilson? Is this something that people be interested in? And we saw people were interested in that guy. Everybody was like, oh, I don't know anything about the Russell Wilson that's Broncos country, let's ride, and all those other things, go Hawks. This guy is very interesting. I would definitely watch him on television if he's going to take shots at people and settle grudges on social media. That's awesome. It's an entertainment business. That's the end of the day, that all this is an entertainment business. I'm giving you sports analysis that is real, but if I'm not entertaining doing it, then it doesn't matter. Or if I have nothing important to say or interesting to say, it doesn't matter. So I think this is Russell Wilson, who I think people... I might have told you that I don't think Russell Wilson would have been good at this prior to that tweet and prior to this interview. If you ask me, Russell Wilson, will he be good in doing like a sports analyst desk job? I would say probably not. He doesn't. He respects all his relationships. He doesn't like to upset any apple carts. And it's not like this job has to be you ripping people. That's not saying that that's a prerequisite. But you can't also just like everybody and say everybody's great and everybody's good and you're just trying to be just Mr. PC because you're the quarterback of a team and you're trying to be a CEO of a team. That's not going to work for the media business. Game analyst is a little different because like then you're just talking about the actual game. And that maybe he could do. But I was like the desk job, which that's where the real, unless you're Tony Romo, Troy Aikman, or one of those kind of guys, obviously Tom Brady. And Russ maybe demand a lot of money for games, to be clear. He is a big name. But unless you're those guys, those other guys aren't making that kind of money. The real money is in being the Stephen A. Smith, right? The Pat McAfee, right? Those kind of guys, the guys that are putting their name, voice out there in a big way. And in order to be in that situation, you got to be in a spot where you're going to say something. And Russell Wilson, I thought that maybe he would be afraid to bring up grudges and take shots at people or be colorful in that way. There was so much color in that tweet. That was what struck me. Like, I didn't think, like, the sarcasm here is crazy. I was like, I didn't think Russell Wilson had this in his bag at all. And again, maybe it wasn't him. Maybe it was Sierra. Actually, I think it was, what's the name? One of the guys on the Bustin' the Boys, I forgot which one. One of them was like, oh, we thought your team wrote this, which is kind of funny. Because, again, I think it's Sierra. And the team was with him. So like, sorry, team, I didn't mean to dish out. Like, I know it wasn't you. You're probably upset that I'm even asking him about this. But, because they were obviously right behind the cameras probably. But, yeah, this I didn't think was even possible. I didn't think this was him at all. So the fact that this is here, I think this was him kind of throwing that child balloon out. Hey, I can do media game. I can be really good at this. And it's from the short clips I heard from him on Bus with the Boys, he might be kind of good at this. This might not be the end of Russell Wilson, seeing him as a big figure on your TV screen. 40 days and 40 nights with your boy EJ Stewart. Bob Custer in the chat. The big friendly comment on the Rams getting All-Pro cornerback Trent McDuffie. McDuffie's only 25 years old. Rams made a great move that did not come cheap in draft choices. This is what Big Friendly had said earlier. This is how he entered the chat today. How about them Rams? It's starting for our offseason. Let's go. He then also went on Instagram and said, how about them Rams? So I'm pretty sure Big Friendly Bob was very happy about that. That's the impression I got, that he's very happy with the Trent McDuffie trade. No other comments, by the way. I didn't get any other analysis about it. I probably got to it a little later than maybe he was on or whatever, but he's happy. For those wondering about Big Friendly, who's a regular caller on Maggie and Perloff show, a staple of Maggie and Perloff show, who has just discovered this week that I've been doing this in the final week, of course. But shout out to Big Friendly, good guy, and his fun aspect of the show that he was able to bring to the table. He has been very excited, it seems like, that Trent McDuffie is going to be an LA Ram. So congrats to him. Also, another question from Bob. EJ, keep this 40-40 program going. 1 hour a day, question mark.
1 hour a day. I don't know if I don't know if every weekday is something I want to do. Like I said, we have a lot of programs with New Generation Media. We have Hero Talk. We have a sports talk show that's kind of been a little bit on a hiatus, really. But me and Kendall do a sports talk show where we talk sports. Since I started doing Maggie and Perloff, started doing fan stuff. Obviously, I didn't like purposely step away. It wasn't like I said, "Hey, I'm stepping away." It's just the time to do it. We couldn't really find the time of late because I've been so busy. Now, unfortunately, because of the fact that I'm a person that is currently looking for a full-time job, I have a lot of time on my hands. So this has allowed me to do this show. I didn't want to just relaunch Sports Talk because Kendall is a full-time worker. Like, he works a real job and stuff. So he doesn't have all the time I have. So I wanted to see, hey, listen, I can do something myself one day a week, twice a day for 40 days, 8 weeks, for sure. Like I said earlier, something is gonna come out of this. Like I said, and I'll say it. I keep teasing something that I don't have an announcement for yet. But I had a very interesting phone call yesterday that opened up an opportunity for me to do something potentially really exciting. And this will not be the last you hear of me. You will have, again, New Generation Hero Talk. Those episodes go on YouTube. Me and Kendall will be doing sports talk episodes again. We've talked about loosely, so I don't want to be jumping out the window or something that Kendall's not aware with. We've loosely talked about rebranding it into something maybe a little different, something unique or something whatever. But I'm not going away. This is why it's so important to subscribe to the channel New Generation Media and follow me on social media, EJ_Stewart, and to follow and subscribe to the podcast channel New Generation Podcast Network. It's important because while, again, I can't guarantee you that it's going to be an everyday live thing. I can't even guarantee you it's going to be a live thing. I don't know. I have to see kind of how everything plays out. But what I will say is I do feel like there is absolutely something coming down the pipe for me with the work that's coming. And again, an opportunity arose to me that I did not expect in a phone call I had that makes me very excited about what may be coming for what may be a next project. Like I'll peel the onion back a little bit. I'm not gonna tell you what's happening or anything, but just peeling the onion back. 'Cause like I said, EJ does this show, most authentic version of myself. Right, that's what I try to do. Like the way I've thought about like how like what I thought has made this successful is I really like the idea of it being a limited series for a lot of different reasons. Like I was really inspired by a lot of different things. You guys have heard all the inspirations, right? A, the original movie for the title. B, this guy. Shout out to XV. Who it doesn't look like I'll get on. I DM'd him. He didn't see the message, unfortunately. But he co-signed and said that he was okay with me doing this. He did the original idea of 40 Days and 40 Nights as a series for music, where he did 2 songs per day for 40 straight days, which was a super unique marketing campaign for his music during the blog era of hip-hop. And XV is one of my all-time favorite rappers. Absolutely on EJ's Mount Rushmore. I hate to say who my favorite rapper is because that's like picking my children. Like I don't want to jump out the window in that way. Say I like Cole. Is it XV? Is it Logic? Is it Hove? I don't have to make that call. But XV's music has meant a ton to me in my life, in my personal life, and just he's meant a lot to me. And the fact that I've actually been able to talk to him alone has been incredible. Like that the fact that he's even given me that time has been great. And the fact that he co-signed this idea. And like I said, if he's not on this, he'll be on the podcast some point. He wants to come on now that he knows that he already knows I'm a fan and he knows what I've been doing and he knows I did this project. So yeah, I had a lot of inspiration. But one of them too was like, these podcasts I've seen that have been limited series. Like there was a podcast by The Real. They're like a hip hop podcast. And they had a series on just the blog era, where it was just like a package of podcasts. I don't know how many. Maybe it was 10, 20, whatever, where they were just focusing on like hip hop music from the blog era. And I really like the concept of people coming to a platform with a vision of something that they liked and saying, oh, I know that. I like that. I might not know these guys, but I know about the blog era and I like hip hop. I'll listen to this series because I want to hear about this topic. This is a little different, obviously, because there is no topic to this.
but I really liked the concept of like, what if I did something that was like, kind of like, contained in a thing. In terms of someone who's a career person, I want to get a job. I don't want to be unemployed for very long. It's something I can like show to people very easily and simply be like, this is a concept of something I did. This is a piece of work I put together, and it was limited, but it was a lot of content in a short amount of time, and I can present it to people as that as a professional. I also thought from a creative standpoint, I thought it was unique to be like, what if I can gather people with me on a journey, counting down something for X amount of days? Because again, it limited me my time in terms of like, again, doing this is awesome, but I have to also spend speaking in reality, I have to spend a lot of time also working on my career and trying to find a job. So doing 2 shows a day, it takes a lot. It takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of energy. Again, there is no producer. There is no EJ. Oh, EJ has an intern somewhere, somebody producing stuff. This is solo dolo. I am the producer, executive producer, writer, everything that there was a credits list. Maybe that'd be funny if I did a credits roll for the last episode, and it was just like producer EJ, executive producer EJ, writer EJ, host EJ, owner EJ. Like that, I'm everything. I'm everything. There have been contributions from co-hosts and people that have jumped on, but every other scroll on the credits thing would say EJ. I'm doing it all. So, and I'm not saying that to complain. I'm just saying that's what's happened. So that takes a lot of time. So like the reality was like, if there was a time and place where like I could do 2 shows per day in theory every single day, and this was just my show moving forward, that's one thing. If I had the money and means to do that. I don't have the money and means to do that, but I knew I could do it for a certain stretch of time. And I actually liked the idea of like, what if this was just a certain stretch of time, and then I could then present another thing I do for either a certain stretch of time or something spins out of that into something that's more extensive. I could do either one. It gives me a lot of options, but I like the option of doing something for a certain amount of time. And again, the opportunity that came to me yesterday. It was yesterday. Yeah, yesterday's phone call. 2 days ago now. Phone call I had this week. Let's just put it that way. Now gives me another opportunity to potentially do something really cool. I know there are some aspects of my audience that will love that I do this. It might not be for everybody. So that's why I'm kind of wrestling with how do I go about it. It doesn't make sense making all those decisions, but I am very excited about what may come. And the opportunity to maybe make that also another limited thing. But long story short, there's like, I'm not going away. I am not going away. You're not going to be able to keep a mic from me. That's been the case for 10 years. I know a lot of you guys have only gotten to know me for maybe the last 2, for some that are Maggie Perloff. For WFAN people, maybe the last 4. For maybe Infinity Sports Network, maybe the last 4+. And then for my new generation people, maybe you know me for the last 10. But hell, shout out to my guy Rob DeRay in the chat. He knows 12 years, 13 years on the mic. You can't keep a mic from me. So do not worry about saying where am I going to find EJ. This is over. It's never over with your boy. I will be on a microphone. I will be in front of a camera somewhere. Like where I don't know all. I don't. In theory, I really legitimately don't know all the answers to that yet. But it will be somewhere, and I am very excited about what that comes. So please, again, make sure you follow me on social media. Make sure you follow me on subscribe to the channel, New Generation Media on YouTube. Follow me on X, EJ _Stewart. Make sure you follow me on Instagram, Action EJ. And again, make sure you subscribe to the channel, New Generation Podcast Network, because those podcasts are still coming. Hero Talk, Wrestling Podcast, me and Lucas probably be recording our episode 10 of that in a couple of weeks. So that's going to start coming down the pipe too, because he's been doing some stuff outside of the podcasting, and he's a what I didn't tell you guys about Lucas. I said it briefly. Lucas is a phenomenal photographer. Truly a phenomenal photographer. He has legitimately traveled over the world and taking breathtaking photos of different landscapes, people, and the whole nine. He had his own personal gallery show that me and Andrea were very fortunate to go to in Lower Manhattan over the summer. And like I knew he was great, but to see like him have his own gallery and the works that he had, I was like, it was breathtaking how talented he was. That is kind of what his main thing was. He was not a podcaster. He worked at WWE. he always was into film. And when he left WWE, he became like a full-time photographer essentially, and he did that for all these years. And he traveled all over the world. And I mean, I'm talking like Thailand, Japan, all places in Europe, the Caribbean. I mean, he was everywhere, and he was taking beautiful pictures. If you look him up, Lucas Goldman photo, look him up, look up his work, and I'll tell you, like if you see my headshots, those are the headshots that he have taken. The logo you see for like my WFAN shows or my Infinity Sports Network shows or headshots I have for profile pictures, those are all Lucas. Obviously, he can do a good headshot. You can see he's working maybe not a lot here, but he made me look pretty damn good. Just joking, but no, he's a phenomenal photographer. But he's done, but he's not just headshots. He's a photographer. But recently he's kind of on his own journey. I don't know. It's not like something crazy. I don't know but I don't want to like give out his business if you don't want me to. But that's kind of why the wrestling podcast slowed down, because he's on a different journey in his career and his life that is awesome, and I'm really happy for him. But it meant that we couldn't record regularly, so we kind of had to kind of pause. And we're hoping that now, once we get to this next phase towards the end of March, we'll be able to rev back up and get these podcasts getting ready for WrestleMania season. So we'll have wrestling podcasts up, sports podcasts up, hero podcasts up. So much content still coming from me, and new content. There'll be something to spin out of this. There may be something else that keeps talking about this phone call I had that spins out of this. Stuff's gonna come. Keep rocking with your boy, EJ_Stewart on X, Action EJ on Instagram. Make sure you follow me. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. New Generation Media. EJ, you're getting 200 live watchers. That's a really good opening. Yeah, there's been some days where it's been awesome. I feel like the numbers are weird. Like sometimes I see what I think are lower numbers than what's actually happening, depending on, like, especially on YouTube. But like, I remember when we had Tommy Beer on, we had, from what I could see, almost 500 people watching. Or no, not more than 500. We had 500 when we had Maggie Perloff on a couple days ago. We were almost, I think we were plus 100. When we had CP the Franchise on, we were plus 200. We've had really good viewership throughout this series, and we've had certain days where there's been explosions of live viewership, which has been really exciting to see on all platforms. So again, much appreciative to a lot of the guests, because obviously these are people I bring in. A lot of them have bigger audiences than I have, and they've been very supportive and, like, shouting out the show and retweeting the show and reposting the show, and we've gotten a lot of views that way. So the viewership's been there, and you guys have been the Bob Custers, the Rob DeRays, the John Leans. There's so many of you guys that have been just steady. Spencer Seeks, you guys have been steady. By Kowalski Alex, you guys have been steady, man. You guys have been rocking me since the beginning, and that helps in terms of bringing other people in. The fact that there's consistent audiences coming almost every day or every day. So I got much love to you guys. I didn't expect this show to kind of be the end with like me showing a lot of love and talking about kind of just the journey of this. I probably expect that to be more tomorrow, but I'm here now, so we're just talking about it. Like, you guys are the best. I got a lot of love for you guys. I appreciate you guys so much, man. You guys are the man. You guys are awesome. Again, totally awesome. And we've seen a great change here in terms of like the growth, the subscriber numbers, the viewership. It's been awesome for my personal, and then also for New Generation Media, which again, it's not just me, it's my brothers as well. So, you think I care a lot about Maggie Perloff, how I care about like this venture, considering it's with family that I do this with, it means the world to me to have you guys supporting, you guys rocking with me. So thank you guys so much. Rob saying John Lean a real one, but he keeps checking out for morning meetings. Yeah, John Lee always says that in the chat. If you're in the chat in YouTube, you always see John Lee's always coming in and out. I'm here, but I gotta go. I'll be back, and he comes back. Hey, I'm back. Let's go. Shout out to John Lean. He said he hopes that there's more stuff coming. Yep, there's more stuff coming. No, don't you worry. Don't you worry. Rod DeRay. Big Friendly's a fake fan. Me and Bob Cutts have been here from day one. Yeah, Big Friendly, man. They calling you out. We needed you. We needed you, Big Friendly. You should have been here for a while. Y'all would have been a fun group. Big Friendly mixed with Rob and Bob and John. Like, that would have been a fun, like, I would have had to give you guys a name, like the Wheels and Coffee Drinkers. I don't know what name would have given you guys. But that would have been that would have been a fun group. You guys have done a good job of being a fun group in the chat. And Bob Cutts saying Lucas Goldman's easy to find online. Yeah, because he's a kick-ass for the photographer. Like, I'm not joking when I talk about he is a photographer. Not like I do headshots for a little bit. And the story of me meeting Lucas I told it on the wrestling podcast. I mentioned it briefly here, and I won't go too long because I know I got to talk Love is Blind before we get out of here. But, like, I just was looking for a headshot because I was doing... so the quick story is I had a headshot for WFAN. This was post-pandemic. So this is like 2021, early 2022. I still was not going to barbers because I wasn't trusting barbers. Like, not that they would do anything wrong, but with COVID and everything, I was like, I don't want someone being that close to my face for an hour or 30 minutes, however long it takes for me to get a haircut. So I went like no haircut for a while. And I would maybe shave down my beard every now and then, but typically I was like, who cares? I'm working in radio. I'm not usually on screen or on camera anywhere. I have a fiance who actually kind of likes it when I have this rugged look. Like, she likes when my hair is long and my beard is long, which makes it very interesting when I get a haircut. And she's like, she has this sad face. And I'm thinking, I look great. I'm like, ooh, I look fresh. Yeah, every man knows when you get that fresh cut, you come out the barbershop and you're like, there you go, looking good, looking good. You know, you feel good. For me, it's very weird because I come home and she's just like, And usually it's when I cut down the beard. Haircut, she's fine with. But she likes when I have a long beard. So if I cut my beard down to a considerable number, where it's more stubble or it's more like a really low beard, she's a little sad. She's like, I need it to grow back. I want my manly man. And I'm like the opposite of a manly man. I don't know how to fix anything, make anything. I don't chop wood or anything that comes with any of that stuff. I am very much a city person and not like a handsy guy at all. That's not me. But I guess I can fake that look by having this big ass beard. So it's always so for me. I'm someone who, that's always a deal. But for that time, I was not going to the barber. At that time, it might have been a year since I got a haircut. Maybe even longer. I don't know. My hair was crazy long and my beard was crazy long. But I started doing shows. I wasn't doing shows yet, but I was about to start doing shows. Or there was word that I may start doing shows. And Odyssey, at various points in time, they said like, oh, like we have people come in and do headshots free. So if you want a headshot, come and get it. And I was kind of like, I don't look headshot ready, but it's free. And I may be doing a show soon. I should have a headshot. I don't have another nice picture of me. And I was like, well, maybe it's okay. Maybe I just get the headshot and it'll be fine. So I got the headshot. I don't know, you definitely have seen the old logo, the old picture of me when I've done fan shows. It looks fine. The picture is fine. And I look like someone who hasn't got a haircut in a year, 2 years. Like I have this like really big, almost like kind of like fade kind of shape, but not really. The beard is there's no gray in it. I wasn't gray at that point in time. This gray really showed up in the next years coming out of that. Beard full. It was a look. It was not my normal look, but it was the look of I was dealing with during the pandemic. And I was like, I'll just rock with it, whatever. And I kept it as my headshot for a while. And I would do shows, and as I started doing more fan shows and started to become more consistent, and I'm very grateful for the Odyssey and for Chris Olivero and at the time Spike Eskin and currently Ryan Hurley for putting me on the fan. By the way, I'll be on this weekend, 12 a.m. to 5 a.m. on WFAN this weekend. But like, as I started doing more shows, more announcements came out with me doing shows, I was like, I really don't want this to be how people think I look all the time. I don't look like this anymore. Like, I'm getting haircuts regularly. Now I got kind of this like kind of dreadlocks thing going. Like, I don't look anything like this. So I needed a new headshot. So I started looking up headshots, and I saw there was a woman that I follow on social media. I thought she had a really nice, cool headshots. And I was like, I've always liked those headshots. I wonder who that person is that did that. So I actually I think her name is Dana Schaefer. I'll actually shout her out. She used to work in radio. I don't know what she does now. But I'm one of the people, I'm a media nerd. So I follow all people who work in media who are young. That's just how I am. I want to make connections. I want to see what they're doing. I want to be inspired. That's a big reason why. So I follow this girl, Dana Schaefer, and she had these headshots that I always thought were really nice. And I was like, damn, who took those headshots? And I was like, no, let me go. And it's probably crazy, but I'm like scrolling down her Instagram a couple of years ago, and last year, I guess. Yeah, last year. I'm like, I gotta find that headshot again to see who took those headshots. I need to get a new headshot. I didn't want to just go to anybody. I like that guy's style. And I scrolled all the way down. Finally, I found the picture, and I was like, I hope she tagged me, and she did. And it was this guy, Lucas Goldman. And I was like, okay, let me look him up. So I looked him up. It was, again, like to Bob Custer's credit, he was pretty easy to find. And it took him a while. He didn't respond to me initially. And I was like, I haven't talked to Lucas about that. But like, hey, I messaged you on certain apps. You didn't respond to me. Or I emailed him. He didn't respond to me. But he eventually, after the second or third message, he then responded to me. And then we did headshots. And then like in the first, I forgot. Oh, I think he asked me what I do for a living or why I was getting the headshots. I said, I work in sports. I work in sports radio. He said, okay. And then he was like, oh, do you like wrestling? Oh, you know what? No, as I was working in sports radio, I said, like, oh, like, what do you like? What have you done? I was like, oh, we've had guests we have fun guests. We have celebrities. We've had, wrestlers. Like I mentioned, we had Seth Rollins on. Seth Rollins has been a big friend of the Magazine Pro Off show. And he was like, oh, you had Seth Rollins on. Do you like wrestling? And that's where we hit it off. It became a conversation that became all about wrestling during this photo session we had. And then he told me like, well, I used to work at WWE. I'm thinking, oh, was he like a little, I don't know, some stagehand or whatever? I didn't know what he did. Especially he was or maybe like, was he a photographer? Like, oh, did he shoot something or whatever? He's like, oh no, I was on the writing team. I'm like, what? You on the creative team of WWE? He's like, no, I was on the creative team. I was like Vince McMahon's like personal writing assistant. I was like, what? So then that conversation went a whole different way, and it's funny, he was going through a certain thing in his time in his life, and he was actually really excited that he got to meet me and talk wrestling. For someone who loves wrestling, he doesn't have a lot of wrestling friends, like friends who love wrestling. So he was like, I don't get to talk to a lot of wrestling people, and like, you're a wrestling fan, so like, ask me anything you want to know about what happened between 2001 and 2002. So I have a ton of questions, and he was answering all of them as honestly as he possibly could. And then he was like, do you think people want to hear this? I'm like, yeah, they would. These stories are gold. And no pun intended, Lucas Goldman. And he was like, do you think like a podcast would work? He's like, yeah. I was like, you should definitely do a podcast. And he's like, would you do one with me? I was like, I'm kind of busy, but this feels like such a great opportunity that I would clear my calendar to make this work. So we've been doing this podcast, man. That's a long story on my guy, Lucas Goldman. But the reason why I talk about him so glowingly is because of the friendship and bond we created that was through osmosis. I am a very to myself person. Like I feel like social like anxiety of like talking to people and reaching out to people. I do this from a microphone, from a camera. I'm all good. But actually putting myself out there is not easy for me. So I'm not someone who like makes easy friends just being out in these streets. That's not how I am. So like I really, really value and cherish my friendship with Lucas because I was like, this is like literally someone I just met through. I hired him to shoot some photos for me, and again we've created this great bond and we do this great show. So much love to Lucas Goldman because again, there are very few friends I have that I can say that this is a friendship purely through osmosis. In my adult years, I don't really talk to people. I talk to my colleagues, I talk to my friends, and that's kind of it. The fact that me and him hit it off the way we have is something I definitely greatly cherish. 40 days, 40 nights with your boy EJ Stewart. We've gone long here. I'm kind of wondering. I promise we do Love is Blind for now. We're going to do it now. I know it's a long show, but we're going to do it now. Damn it. You guys deserve it. You guys deserve the time. We are 2 hours, but whatever. I said I was going to do Love is Blind. We're going to do Love is Blind. So, finale dropped yesterday. This was a S show. As to be expected with this show. And again, for those who have never watched Love is Blind, or who have watched this will be a spoilers conversation. So if you don't want to be spoiled, say, I didn't get to watch it. I want to go back and watch it. Or EJ's talked about it, but I didn't get to hear it, so I want to go back and watch it. Well, you may need to end this show, and I'll see you later tonight on night 39. If you're okay with spoilers, you're okay with all that, you're okay with a conversation about this reality show that I'm obsessed with, that's not Traitors, but this one I also love, then, sit back, relax, because we're going to talk about this for at least another 10, 15 minutes. So, Love is Blind, the finale happened. Now, if you remember, this season is happening in Ohio. This is the Ohio season. This is the 10th season. Every season of this show, they go to a different city/state, and they find about 30 singles, and they put them in pods to date each other to determine whether or not love is blind. These people get to spend pretty much as much time as they want in these pod dates, dating multiple people, figuring out if they can find connections. And if you find a connection, you can decide to get engaged without ever seeing the person. This whole conversation that happens, all this dating that's happening in the pods, you never get to see the person. All you hear is their voice. And you're talking to them about their life, their journey, what their values are, all those kind of things. And you have to determine based on that 10-day stretch you have with these people. You can get engaged in a shorter time, but that's the full time, is the 10 days. Whether or not you're going to get engaged to the person. If you get engaged, then you get to meet for the first time in front of everybody on national TV. And then you go on a honeymoon, and then you have a 30-day stretch to figure out how you guys work living together, involve families, because during the whole time you don't have your phone, you can't communicate with anybody. The only people you communicate are your own friends that are in this pod with you, like if you're a girl, your fellow girls, or your guys, your fellow guys, and then whoever you're dating behind walls. Those are the only people you talk to, and the producers, of course. That's the only contact you have. You don't have contact with your family, friends on the outside, nothing like that. So it's a crazy concept. And people get engaged, and they meet, and they got 30 days to figure out if they're going to get married. And they get to the altar. That's when they get to decide, is love truly blind? Do you say I do, or do you say I don't? So here we got to the married, or not married, but the weddings happened in this finale episode. This finale was totally about just weddings. Will they say I do or I don't? So, of course, if you remember, we have remaining this couple. Ashley, I don't really know much about her personality, to be honest. But Ashley and the former soccer player, All-American guy who does not seem to have a job, does not seem to want to live in Ohio, and seems to have a very sketchy backstory, but has a quote-unquote nomadic life. That's how he describes it. And it's Ashley girl who seems to have everything put together in terms of like a good job. Her dad's a divorce lawyer. The divorce lawyer, remember, he like grilled this guy about his entire life and said that this guy, he doesn't think quote-unquote honesty is his strong suit. That's this couple. So they are still remaining. We have Emma and Mike. These two, you'll remember, Mike was the guy that really badly wants kids. Emma did not want kids. Does not want kids, really. But is kind of maybe considering it because she loves this guy. It seems like this guy doesn't have much of a personality other than he wants kids and he's Italian. Like, we don't know much more about this guy. And we don't learn much more about this guy from this episode other than that he wants kids and he's Italian. Emma, we learn a lot about, actually, because she has a very interesting story. Like, she was adopted. She was adopted into a white family. She's Chinese. She was adopted when she was very young. She had all these birthmarks all over her body. She had her left arm, which you can't see here because it's your right but her left, that you can't see here, but her left arm is very badly scarred. They photoshopped it, which, I don't know if they've actually commented on why they photoshopped her arm. I don't really love that they did that. And I don't know how she felt about it. But she has like pretty significant scarring all throughout her left arm because of I think she said 9 surgeries she had. As a child, she had 9 surgeries before she was like 10 years old. Because all the birthmarks they said were potentially cancerous. Apparently she's all good now and everything's fine, but that is a big part of her story. And that's a big part of the reason why she doesn't want kids, because she doesn't want to pass down potentially any kind of birth defects or any kind of, other cancerous birthmarks down to whoever her kids are. So that's the big story with her, because she also doesn't know her parents. She has no idea who her birth parents are. So a lot going on there for her, which is why she doesn't want kids. This guy, we don't know really anything about him other than he wants kids and he's from a big Italian family. So they went to the altar. We also then had these two. These two, again, we have talked about these two a ton. Devontae, who doesn't also seem to really have much of a personality. We don't really learn much about him either. And he's with this woman who badly wants to get married, bought her wedding dress prior to this show. She's already been fitted. She's already been ready to go. She bought her wedding dress because she wanted to have the thought process that she was going to get married by when this is all said and done. And the whole story with them is
she's saying, you never tell me I'm pretty. You give me no indication that you actually like me. And he says, well, if you keep saying that I'm not telling you that you're pretty and I don't like you, that makes me not want to tell you that you're pretty and I like you. Elite gaslighting. And it's incredible that we're at the final episode and they're still together. But that is where we are right now. And finally, two more. We have these two. Very non-problematic couple. All systems have been go. Both seem to be madly in love. Both seem to say the right things. They both seem to maybe have like a past or not. And by the way, this is Christine and Victor. Both seem to have maybe a past they're not that fond of. I get the impression Christine made, her dad, she had some, her dad was like an alcoholic and had a lot of issues. I get the impression maybe she didn't come from a lot of money and then she may have been a little bit of a wild child as a kid. And then Victor, who, said that, he saw, abuse in the household and bad men for his mother. And he also kind of was running around the streets a little bit, but he's a college professor now. I forgot what she does, but he's a college professor, I believe, at Ohio State, which is pretty awesome. And there's been no red flags. The mom, her mom met him. His mom didn't meet her yet. He meets her at the wedding. I'll talk about that in a second. But her mom met him, loved him, said he was hot, which was kind of funny. Her mom's really old. Her mom was like, she might be in her 70s or 80s. Which is kind of funny to see the old woman be like, this old white woman, this black man's hot. Like, he didn't say black man, of course. But I thought you said, what do you think? I thought he was hot. It's kind of funny. But, in a sweet moment. So, yeah, all systems go. Everyone's rooting for them. Really no notes in terms of bad stuff coming into the finale. And then this was a big couple that we were keeping an eye on, man. There you got Amber and Jordan. Amber is your single mom who has a 6-year-old daughter. We've had single parents on in the past. None of them have ever been married. Only one of them got, from what I remember, only one of them got even past the pods. This is someone who got all the way to a wedding. She has a young daughter who seems like a precious young girl. We do get to meet her in this episode. And there's Jordan, who people have joked that a lot of his story, not his story, but a lot of his edit is simply that he's a big guy. Like a lot of it, him talking about food or him eating or him doing whatever. And it's like, why is the edit doing this? There's got to be more to Jordan than just him liking food. But they seem to have hammered that home that he's a big eater. And he seems like just a jovial guy. He seems like a nice guy. We haven't had any problematic, weird things with him. He is, though, nervous about being a single dad. He said that when he came into the experiment, the one thing about this was that he said that having a kid was a red flag that he wanted you be eliminated. So it's actually quite touching that he fell in love with Amber, knowing she had a kid. It's not like she sprung it up on him. But he, despite the fact that that was his number one red flag and his deal breaker, he continued to still talk to her, and they fell in love, and they got engaged. But he is having trepidation, having concern about potentially being a dad, and they almost broke up over it. Like, he mentioned this to one of his friends, and she overheard, and then they had a big old fight, and it looked like things were tenuous, but they came out of it, and now we're in the wedding day. So we're going to see what's going to happen. So let's begin with where they began, which was with Mike and Emma. So these two. So this ended up being no wedding. No marriage, rather. There was a wedding. That's the thing. Weddings happened. Wedding happened, no actual marriage. So sorry to Emma and Mike. They did not get married. There was, in my opinion, I felt like they wasted a lot of people's time. She made it extremely clear for so much of this journey that she had a lot of trepidation about having kids for what felt like reasonable reasons. He very badly wants kids, which is totally within Mike's right. Their vows were odd. He comes into the wedding vows, and his vows were essentially, I've been waiting this whole time, and now the moment is here. I need to know, do you want kids or do you not want kids? Like, there really wasn't, now, I know it's edited, they don't show everything, but we didn't see the, oh, Emma, you've changed my life, and this has been this incredible journey. I feel like my life, I can't live life without you. but here's just one thing I need. Like, there was none of that. It was almost like an ultimatum at a wedding. It was so weird. I'm like, those were weird vows. And then you got to her vows, which, okay, the question is still valid because we still don't know, like, has she decided that she want kids or not want kids? And it's a kind of yes. I see your future with you. I see a family with you. And I can't live without you, so yes, I do. But doesn't really explicitly answer whether or not she's definitely going to have kids, but she made hints and allusions to that she would, but it just seemed kind of wishy-washy. So she says, I do. He says, I'm sorry, the answer you gave me doesn't give me really any confidence, so I do not. And the wedding is over. So there's no party, there's no nothing. They seem to kind of leave on decent terms. There was no beef. There was no bad words to each other. They sit and have a chat afterwards in private. But this couple didn't last. And again, I look at this and I'm like, man, I feel like this could have been an email. This whole wedding, this whole relationship could have been an email. This guy wanted kids, this girl didn't. And we went throughout all these episodes trying to figure out if I guess she was going to decide whether she did want kids. There was no way in 30 days with a guy she just met with all of her pretty legitimate fears that she is going to now decide I'm going to have kids and say this in a definitive way. He should have broke up with her a long time ago. Maybe break up with her in the pods when she said she doesn't want kids. Break up with her when you meet your family and she says she doesn't want kids. Break up with her when you meet her family and they talk about how badly she doesn't want kids. There's so many things where he had the opportunity to say, you know what, this doesn't make sense. She really doesn't want kids, or at least he's very concerned about it or is not sure about it. Let me end the engagement. Maybe if you want to keep dating her and figure out, okay, maybe she will come around, sure, maybe. But I don't know. To be honest, one of the things I always say is, with every episode you earn more money on this show. Part of me kind of felt like, I don't know, was Mike just trying to say, listen, this extra $1,000 if I get to the altar? So maybe that's why he did this. This just seemed strange. I know one thing, and I'll say this before I even continue. If this will not, let me be clear, it's not going to happen during my wedding. My wedding happens this year, and I promise there will be I-dos, and nobody will have issues. But if I told people that there was going to be a wedding, and I had people on short notice with 30 days notice have to come in, fly in from wherever, cancel whatever plans you had that day to be at a wedding where there was no actual marriage that gets started, I mean, someone's gonna get talking to. Someone's gonna be like, I'm gonna say, hey bro, what just freaking happened? You invite, I canceled, my week off from work. I spent all this money on plane tickets or train tickets or bus tickets, whatever, to get here. I bought this suit to look fly, and you don't get actually married at a wedding? What? I don't even get the free food and stuff that comes with. What was this? So I don't understand these people who actually bring their parents and their families along for this ride to have a wedding that doesn't happen, where they're getting suits, tuxes, bridesmaids got bridesmaid dresses, all this jam. In theory, I guess the bridesmaids and the groom and the bride, they don't pay for this stuff. Netflix, I think, gives it to them. But still, that is a lot to ask of your friends and family to be involved with the shenanigans. It's kind of why when some families decide that they're not going to be involved with it, I kind of get it. Because I didn't say that this could happen, but they got to the altar. He said no. So they are not going to be married, and that's the end of their tale. Let's get to these two. We had a wedding. We had a marriage. Amber and Jordan, the single mom, and the jovial Ohio blue-collar guy whose whole edit was that he's a big guy who likes to eat. They got married, and I'll be real, though, I am a little concerned. Before the wedding, her brother said, I'll be honest, I'll be so shocked if he says yes. Before the wedding, she said, I'm coming to this wedding, expected him to say no. Again, all these things insane to me. I don't know how why would you even get to this point
expecting all this to happen potentially. This is the first time we've seen a child on this show. We did not see her child at any point during this time. We had a single dad during the Denver series who did not want to show his son because she didn't want to expose his son to the lunatics that are out there on the internet and on the world. Perfectly understandable. So he was always kept off camera. Her daughter was kept off camera for every episode except for this one. She's the flower girl at this wedding. The idea that they were going to put this 6-year-old girl, make her the flower girl, put her through a wedding where everyone in her family did not think this guy was going to say yes. I'm not judging. I don't want to judge her. She's a parent, and I don't not judging her parenting at all. But oh my God, that feels like a big risk and potentially a really cruel thing to put a kid through. Just my personal feelings. I'm glad that didn't happen because he said yes. He said yes, though it felt like leading into the wedding, because we see them talking prior, talking to their family, talking to their friends. This guy was shook with a capital S. He was shook. He looked like he saw a ghost. He looked sick. He looked so nervous. And I said, oh my God, this guy, I think he's going to say no. He knows her daughter is here. He just met her daughter a couple of days ago, apparently. Just a day or 2 days before the wedding. He finally meets his daughter for the first time. It seemed like it went well. But his face, the fear he had, the way his parents were like, hey man, like, I know you're scared. Like, whatever you do, we're going to be here for you. I'm like, yo, he's really going to put this single mother and this 6-year-old child through this, where he's going to say no at the altar. And he gets up there and he says yes. Despite him talking about his fears and how concerned he was and whatever, he said yes. He said, I'm following my heart. And my heart tells me I do. Which, this looked like the Knicks won a championship. Like, the crowd went crazy. Because you can even see the facial expressions on her family and her friends. They also clearly all thought he was going to say no. And they were like, oh my God. I mean, the face on her daughter, it melts your heart. She starts crying. Like, it's a beautiful, beautiful moment. But, like, it's like, oh my God, I hate that this is how this beautiful moment came about. Where a single mom was trying to see if she's going to have a husband and had no idea and thought she wasn't going to. And the 6-year-old daughter is there as a flower girl. And there's all this trepidation. I did not expect it to go this way. But shout out to them. They seemed extremely happy once they officially said I do. And, you know, he said, I'm following my heart and I'm going with it. I'm sticking with it. So, I mean, there are a couple that's easy to root for. But I got to be real. I'm very concerned because he just seems so unsure and so nervous. I cannot think of the idea. Because Mike said, the previous guy, the guy who wanted the kids and is Italian, that guy, if I can show you, that guy, he said, like, oh, if she would have said definitively 100% that she was going to have kids with me, I might have said yes. I cannot imagine going to an altar not knowing what I'm going to say yes or no. Like, that, again, concept is bizarre. The whole situation is bizarre. But even if, let's say, in a hypothetical situation I was on this show, I would know prior to going to the altar and the wedding whether or not I could say yes or no. The fact that these people go up to the altar being like, I may say yes, I may say no, I have no idea, I don't know. Like, Mike went up there and said it depended on what Emma said. I'm like, what? That seems insane. I get the impression that the big fella also felt the same way, Jordan. I get the impression that he went up to that altar and also was not sure until how he felt, which is why he said, I'm leading with my heart. And my heart tells me yes. That tells me your head is telling you no. And your head at some point in time is going to come into the conversation. And I just, because of the sensitive nature of this, I badly hope this works out. They're a very sweet couple. They're very fun to root for. Very easy people to root for. But his trepidation makes me concerned. I'm very concerned about whether or not these two work out. But I'm wishing them all the best. But this was very much, it was way more concerning than I thought it had to be. And way more of a question mark than I thought it was going to be. Considering we were dragging a 6-year-old child into it. That's just my feel on it. Okay, we got to get to the BS. That was like the appetizer. Then we got to some real mess.
So let's start with a wedding that did not happen. They swerved us. These two did not happen. So, surprise, surprise. Devontae, the guy who refused to tell his fiance that she was pretty, refused to touch his fiance, and then gaslit and said, well, when you tell me that I'm not telling you you're pretty enough, it makes me feel like, well, if I say it, I'm only saying it because you said I didn't say it. I want it to be real. Surprise, surprise, they didn't get married. And I'll be honest, thank goodness there wasn't an actual wedding, because she is very much into the idea of being a bride. It feels like her family took this guy in. Somehow he, I guess, BS his way into her family really liking him, even though he has shown so little interest in their daughter, her parents. But their parents liked her, her sister liked him, and it just was like, this guy doesn't even like this girl. So they have this conversation. I mentioned before he brought up a prenup, and she was unsure about that. And she's like, well, it's our wedding day, and obviously we're not getting married, and it's very disappointing because I had to tell my parents and tell my family and tell my friends who were planning to be here for a wedding to go back home because it wasn't going to happen. Again, the real thing I keep talking about, like that, I would even do this just because of that, the fact that that's possible. At the very least, at least there wasn't an actual wedding where someone would say no. They at least gave the people that regard where they say, okay, you don't have to actually put on the dress or put on the suit. You can just, return it. But damn, again, you can't return the flight tickets if you already arrived in Columbus, Ohio that week. Like, this is crazy. So this actually picture is perfect, because she is like, despite all this, I know we're going to push through, and I know we're still engaged, and we're going to, I'm 99% sure that one day we will get married. It's just not going to be today, and that's okay. And his disposition, again, distance, far away, leaning back, no smile. He said one of the most diabolical lines I've ever heard from someone talking to their fiance. As he gets up to leave, he says, we'll be in touch. It's his fiance. We'll be in touch? And then he drives out of the home and that's it? We'll be in touch. This man has zero interest in this woman. And there are people who are kind of turning on Brittany a little bit because she comes across extremely delusional. Part of me gives her a slight pass only because this is, again, a striking woman. Like, just being honest, right? Like she's a very beautiful woman. She is someone that I would assume does not have many issues with people not being attracted to her. So I think that a lot of this was like her legitimately having trouble, like understanding what the deal was. And she's like, well, if he says that we're doing good and we're fine, he simply just can't find the words because it's his personality, that I'm just going to be okay with it. Like, why fight it? Like, I fell in love with this person in the pod, so there it is. But there are people who are like, yo, how, like, at this point, like, he's giving you all the signs that he's not that interested. Now, what I will say is, I still think this guy is, I still think that he's a loser. And I think that the fact that he didn't have the guts to actually sit down and just say, listen, we fell in love in the pods. You came out of the pods. It just turned out chemistry wasn't right. It seems clear to me that this is not his physical type. He mentioned when they saw each other that he's never dated a Latina or black woman before, which she is both, obviously. So it seems like this was never going to be the person for him. And my feeling on it, well, number one, I would say if I ever, my dream job is to my dream job besides doing sports stuff and pop culture stuff. It's like, there's a job I do for free as a side hustle. I would cast Love is Blind. One of the things I would say is, if you have not had any history dating people of your own race, or
you have no interest in dating people of your own race, you're not allowed to be on the show. Because I think the problem is that like it becomes dicey when you have, and I know it's kind of a mixed bag because like, okay, well, love is blind. Like, isn't the point is that they can fall in love and then realize, oh my God, this is a person that I love anyway, regardless of skin color, right? Like, I guess in theory, I understand why you let it go, but I just think in practice, what we're seeing too often is like people coming out of the pods or coming out of whatever, whether it was Shake with an Indian woman that, you know, he was someone who didn't date Indian women and he's with an Indian woman, or this guy, like, you shouldn't put the women through this. Like, you shouldn't put the women through a situation where a guy who clearly is not interested in this ethnicity in terms of a woman he dates goes through this whole process, and then like the situation is dead on arrival simply because like they can't get over this aspect. Now, Shake was very honest about it. Shake was one of the biggest villains ever in the show. That's like season 3 or 4. One of the best seasons of Shake season. Actually, I think it was 2. That was Chicago. Oh my God, that to me is the GOAT season still. Awesome season. If you're gonna watch Love Is Blind, I'd say what's one season you should drop in and watch to get a feel for the show. I'd say honestly watch season 2. But season 1's great too, and it's like a great premise and everything, and it's awesome. But season 2 is the one that was the one. I was like, this is a show we gotta keep watching. But like, if you're not interested, man, like, come on, like you could have told this girl a long time ago. And now again, the reason why people are getting on Brittany because like he's kind of giving you a lot of signs. Like he said, oh, I'm gonna go dark for a couple of days to clear my head, so don't talk to me, don't reach me the days prior to their wedding. Like, he was saying a bunch of things that should have easily made this thing be over. And there were so many moments where if she was in the right mindset, she should have said, this guy's not giving me enough, and I can't be so desperate to want to be loved and want to be, you know, somebody's wife that I'm not actually making them meet my standards, which was clearly happening here. Like, he was not giving any effort. He was not doing anything. He was awful. He was awful to her. He gave her no love. He gave her no, validation. He just sucked. And my feelings always, listen, like, people like what they like. You can feel however you feel. Like, if he dates certain kind of women, I'm not the kind of person to jump in and say, oh, that's wrong or that's wrong. Do whatever you want. My thing is, there's love for everybody out here. And if people want to look for certain people, that's their prerogative. It's none of my business. But I don't think you should drag someone along for weeks and weeks and weeks on national TV and not just say the words that are very obvious. It's a lack of courage. It's a lack of courage. He was cowardly, not just breaking up with this girl. And even this breakup was weird. It wasn't like a breakup. She's like, oh, we're definitely gonna get married. I'm 99% sure. He's like, yeah, I guess we'll just have to see what the future holds. Like, he's again saying this vague stuff that's not saying anything. It's not giving her any validation that it actually will work out. And he's like, we'll be in touch. And it's like the nerve. Also, like, again, not to be like, I'm trying not to be like superficial, but also kind of like the nerve of this guy. Like, I mean, this guy ain't Denzel or Glenn Powell or Michael B. Jordan or whatever heartthrob you guys love right now, Austin Butler. I mean, the nerve of this guy to be acting like this when this is what he looks like. And I'm not trying to diss his looks, but like when you're being a jerk and you're being a terrible partner and it's shown on national TV, like not that it matters if you were an Adonis, it doesn't even matter. It's still how, like, the nerve of you. Like, this is a beautiful woman. She seems like a good person. He brings up these like negative traits about her, and it's like, oh, I don't like that you said that you told other people that you're concerned that I'm not saying you're pretty. It's a reason to be concerned. What are you talking about? Oh, and in this one, he's like, I don't like that you bought a wedding dress prior to this. You knew that in the pods. What are you talking about? So even the way he was trying to spin this as like she was something, like there was reasons in terms of her personality other than he was not attracted to her. Still, again, the guy's a coward. Like, no love for Devontae, man. He really showed up terrible in this. I'm not saying Brittany looked the greatest because she did come across desperate. She did come across a little delusional. I saw she made a post on social media saying that I understand what people are saying. You guys are right. I killed myself watching this show because it was just so annoying seeing how, like, delusional I was. Like, I saw it, and I wanted to grip myself through the TV screen, wake myself up. But I was really, really into the process and really wanted to find love and really wanted to believe in this. So like, again, for that reason, I can't really go crazy on Brittany. This guy should have done the right thing because she was interested. She wanted to see it work. And yes, she should have seen the signs that he wasn't meeting her standards. But it was on him to say, you know what, I don't want to do this anymore. And he couldn't because he was cowardly. So this was not a wedding at all. So this also ended up being a little bit of a waste of time. Now we get to the fun stuff. Oh, was this good? Oh, was this good? So you have Ashley and Alex. Remember, this was the guy who I said the soccer player who is a quote-unquote day trader. That is his job. But he's also looking for jobs. He may have a job offer to be a soccer coach, but it's kind of unclear if that's real. He's lived a quote-unquote nomadic life that has included living in multiple places, including Cleveland, Ohio, San Diego, Australia, maybe New Zealand. He's part New Zealand. Like his dad was from New Zealand, I believe. So he's part Kiwi. And other places, like he hasn't been in one spot. He's lived in multiple places in the last year. We didn't think one of those places was Austin, which is where his ex lives. But then it's revealed because one of the girls who was in the pods knows this guy. And I guess probably told Ashley, like, he didn't tell you that he lived in Austin? He lived in Austin for some time. And then he's like, oh yeah, I did live in Austin. Oh yeah, that is where my ex lived. Oh yeah, I did visit her one time. Oh yeah, we did sleep together. All these things that seem to be convenient things that you would probably want to tell your fiance if you're talking about someone you just met. Extremely shady character. And also kind of like a jerk. I really wish, man, I wish I had the picture to give you a sense of like who this guy is. He talked about, and this is again, I want to remind you, a guy who is a day trader for his job, who does not have a seemingly like a natural home, and apparently like may have an offer to be like an assistant soccer coach. He said in 5 years, his 5-year plan is to have a quote phenomenal house and a safe house in New Zealand and a trust in Dubai and multiple kids and a wife. That was what his 5-year plan was for a guy who, again, I tell you, day trades, quote unquote, but also maybe has an offer to be a soccer coach that I assume is an assistant coach who has not lived in a single place for any extended amount of time in the last however many years, living this nomadic life. Something clearly is not adding up with bro. It's just real. And he just seems to be a kind of guy that is living in his own world of what reality is. That first of all, anybody who says that that's your 5-year plan already a trust in Dubai. What is? I almost cursed. What is that? I have a trust in Dubai. He had to make sure a phenomenal home in Florida, and a safe house in New Zealand. Who talks like this? Who talks like this? Mind you, this is a guy where we don't actually know what his job is. To be blunt, we don't know if he has a job, and this is what he's saying his 5-year plan is. So he's with this girl Ashley, who's starting to pick up what he's putting down when it comes to mistruths or not having the entire story together. Because again, there's these girls that he's not telling her about. These cities he's lived in that he's not telling her about. There's just his overall disposition in terms of like, she lives in Cleveland. He said he lived in Cleveland, which is why he's on this Ohio-based show. But he seems to have zero interest at all in staying in Ohio and is like desperate to have to leave like immediately in a weird way. That's weird. Like you would think if you've met the love of your life and this is your fiance and okay, you know the plan long term is to want to move to Florida and Arizona because it's quote unquote more politically aligned with what you think. Which I'm like, Ohio seems to be great, but whatever. It's more politically in line with what you think,
and there's good weather and good golf. Again, these are the things coming out of this guy's mouth. I'm like, oh, this guy is the worst. So she is starting to, it seems like finally, start to pick up what he's putting down. Like, this guy does not have this all together. You don't see it from this picture. But when I tell you, this brother looked crazy at this wedding. This suit is way too big. Did nothing to the beard to trim it, to line up. Bro had crumbs in the beard. Crumbs in the beard, crumbs in the mustache, crumbs in one perfect ones. Maybe it was dangerous because there was something in his hair too, but the beard looked crazy for someone that's gonna be on television at your wedding. Just showed to me no care about anything about that was gonna be about this process, this situation. He compared it to a soccer match. He was like, "This is just like soccer. You put on your gloves, you put on your cleats, you get ready to perform, mind clear." I'm like, what? This is your wedding, man. What are you talking about? So they go to the altar. She doesn't give a sense one way or the other. She does allude that she thinks he's going to say no, but doesn't give a one way or the other how she feels. They get to the altar. He says, the guy says, "All right, what do you say?" She said, "Before you say anything, I know what you're going to say, that you don't choose me, but that's okay because I don't choose you. Because you're a bum," more or less. She didn't say bum, but she's like, "You lie. I don't know what your situation is with your life, and there's been mistruths, and honesty is not something that's your strong suit, just like my dad said, and you lack integrity. And I, in previous years, would have put up with the kind of crap that you put down and would have just said I do and moved on my life and been miserable, and I'm a new woman and a new person, and I'm not going to do that anymore. And saying no to you is a victory for me," and walked her ass out. And that was it. I mean, I know I've been booing the people that didn't get married, but gotta give a round of applause to the girl, Ashley. Took her a long time to get there, but she eventually got there, and she dropped the hammer on bro. And he tried to play it off, as they always do. "Oh, no, it's all good. Man, it's all good. I don't worry about that." And she was like, "Yeah, he's a loser." She was telling her friends, like, "He's awful. He's been lying. There's so much stuff that I know about this guy." There's a debate of like, oh, do you put someone through that? Like, his mother was there. The mother's a whole ordeal, too. She's coming in this crazy-looking dress. There's just a lot going on with this guy that just seems odd. But the mother is there, and she's obviously floored that, like, this woman just, like, eviscerated her son on national television the way she did. She's like, "Wow, I can't believe that just happened. That was insane. Oh, my God. How did she do that? How terrible a person she must be." And he's like, "Oh, it's all good, man. Hey, I'm tripping. I'm not tripping. It's all good. I'm good." And like, he's hurting inside. You know his ego. This guy has a massive ego. You know, from an ego standpoint, that was crushing to have. Not that the relationship is over. He seemed to be like, he talked about not being her type, and he talked about all this stuff. Or rather, her not being his type and all that stuff. But just the ego shot of having this woman just eviscerate him like that in front of all his friends and family, you know it hurt. You know it stunk. And her dad, who's this divorce lawyer, he was sitting there proud, being, "Look at my daughter read this guy." He loved it. This was an iconic moment for sure in this show's history. I can't say brother didn't earn it. I'll be honest. You know, there was another moment that happened seasons ago with another girl, Zeneb and Cole, and she had a similar speech about how bad he was and said no and walked away. Deep D also had a similar speech about Shake. But this one, those, especially the one with Zeneb, that one was kind of like some people were like, "Oh, that was harsh," or "Oh, Cole didn't deserve that." And that's debatable. I think Cole did. I'm in the minority, it seems. But this one, there is no denying that, unless you don't think anyone deserves that, and there's a case to be made that nobody deserves that. If you believe that, fine. I think some people earn what they get, though. And he definitely earned a talking down to and a complete stripping down. Because he was just so deceitful. He was so dishonest. He was so shifty. And he just didn't seem like a great guy. Just how, maybe at its bad, maybe at things whatever, maybe at its bad, maybe it's whatever. But he just seemed like bad news. Absolute ripping came to him in this wedding. So these people did not get married. And honestly, it's a good thing. Because he shouldn't be married to anybody. He's not someone who looks like he's in a position to be engaged. And the couple that said had no problems, they had no problems. You had Vic and Christine. They had their wedding. That's Vic's sister, who was also the person who ordained them and everything. They met for the first time. She met her mom and she met his mom and her sister for the first time, and it went extremely well. There was so much love. They end the show with this because they always want to end with a happy note, and it seemed like, man, they all got along great, and their vows were beautiful, and they got married, and it was all smiles, all grinning teeth. It was all good. These couple, they've been rock solid the whole time. No surprise at all that they were married. I'd be stunned if they're not together anymore. No notes really, but it was a nice way to see the show end, because you don't want to see the show end on a downer. Like last season ended on a downer. It ended with nobody getting married, which was the first time that's ever happened on the show. This one, we got a couple of weddings, and this couple being the strongest couple throughout. No surprises. There was not even a hint of any moment of this feeling like, oh, maybe this is not going to work out. This worked out beautifully. They got married. They're happy. And shout out to Vic and Christine. Let's give them a round of applause. Round of applause for Vic and Christine. I know Vic has had some problems on social media with people being like, I don't know, I guess on Threads. As you can see, this is an interracial couple. I don't got to, say that out loud. I guess people on Threads have been not happy with the fact that he chose this white woman. First of all, she chose her behind a wall, so I don't even know if he knew this woman was white, but whatever. You can make the case that maybe that's naive. But she seems perfectly lovely. She seems perfectly fine. They seem to tackle the challenging questions that any black person would have in terms of raising black children and being in an interracial relationship, and she seemed to handle that well. He seemed to handle that well and handle it with respect. He knows he's taking some heat from people on social media, but otherwise, I don't know. It seems like these seem like perfectly fine people. I don't know why people are being the way they are. But otherwise, I mean, again, no notes for this couple. They've been awesome, and they've shown that perhaps love is blind. Yeah, they fell in love behind a pod. They merged their lives. What was weird about it, though, is we didn't see them living together or anything, because it seemed like they were the odd couple out in a lot of the production, which is very weird about this show. I'm very curious to hear more about how production went with these 7 couples, the most couples ever on a Love is Blind season. But ended on a high note. You had them move on, and they are now married. So next week you got your finale. They showed a little teaser, so we got snippets of some of the people we lost throughout the process. Remember, of course, the hot doctor and this little Smurf over here, who said that he dates people who do Pilates, and he was having the worst sex of his life, so that's why he had to dump the hot doctor. So those people are back. We'll see them next week. We'll see also Connor and Britt. This is the girl who said that, she needs more of an alpha, and, Connor's more of a boy, and therefore he dumped this seemingly nice blue-collar man from Ohio. So we'll see them. We'll see the whole crew. Seems like there's going to be more mess. Seems like there'll be more receipts. So I'm excited to see how that all shakes out. This is the longest episode of 40 Days and 40 Nights we've ever done. But I had this decision to make, because we had a fun conversation that was just natural. I like to just go with the flow with however the show was going. And we were talking about the future of 40 Days and 40 Nights, the future of your boy EJ, the future of a new generation media, my relationship with Lucas and everything. I didn't want to shortchange that stuff, because time is not a thing right now. I don't got nowhere to be. So I was like, I'll still do the Love is Blind thing. I didn't want to wait till later tonight, because who knows what may come later tonight. May have some fun guests, may have some fun topics, may have some fun stories, and I don't want to hold something that that I've been trying to do. So I'm glad I did my thing, man. I'm glad we did this thing. 2 hours and almost 50 minutes live right now. Rod DeRay. This is good prep for the 24-hour marathon you're teasing. Yeah, I haven't been teasing that. You've been teasing that. You and Bob Custer, the people in the chat, have been teasing that. Not been me. It's not been something I'm doing. So no, I'm not teasing that. There is no 24-hour show. It shows you how long I've been on it. This is the first time I've ever gotten a phone call while I'm doing this show. That shows you I've been on way too long. The fact that now I'm getting phone calls. We also got Rod DeRay also saying, you saying that we deserve to hear your thoughts on Love is Blind contradicts all the nice things you said about your fans. You damn it, you deserved it. You needed it. You had to hear it, and you got it, Rob. Sorry about that.
Or not sorry, actually. Listen, man, and I'll say this. Listen, this could have been, I think I did a great segment. I'm not someone who, first time I think I've ever done, during radio, podcasting, streaming, anything, where I've said, I think I did a good segment. It's the first time that those words ever come out. That sounds extremely pretentious, I understand. But play along with me here. I think that was a pretty good segment, recapping the finale of Love is Blind. That, of course, is subjective. This segment could have been better. I was so close to getting Andrea, my fiance, to get on the air and do this segment with me. Because I badly wanted her to do it. She's a huge Love is Blind fan. And she has all these takes and all this commentary. And I feel like, you think I have a lot of thoughts, getting her on here would have been awesome. And I thought it would have been fun for the audience to have me play off with somebody who also has watched the show. And that would have been a lot of fun. But stage fright, which happens to anybody who is not used to doing what I do, it takes a level of courage and to get on a mic and get on the camera and talk to people who you don't see. Even if you're talking to someone you're familiar with, if you're not used to it. So, you know, she was thinking about it. She really considered it seriously, but then passed, which is totally fine. I know I love my Andrea. I talk about it all the time. So I thought that segment was good. It could have been better because we could have had Andrea on here. But of course, I thank her for everything she has done, obviously, in my life, but even just in these last 40 days, because, you know, her support has also allowed me to do this. I couldn't do 40 days and 40 nights or anything I've done with New Generation Media without her. So, big shout out to my future wife. Big shout out to my future wife, Andrea. It was sad we couldn't get her on to this episode of 40 Days and 40 Nights, but that's okay. I'm sure there will be some kind of content somewhere where she will make her voice heard or her presence felt in some way. I don't think there's going to be a time where she's never going to be some kind of content I do. But yeah, I tried my best, guys. I tried to see if I get Andrea to come on. You guys could have asked her all questions you wanted about me and our relationship or sports or anything. You guys would have had a field day. Thought it could have been a very fun segment, but you know, she didn't want to do it, so that's totally fine. But I think you guys got some good content still with my intense breakdown of Love is Blind. Oh, my good friend Martin Torres in the chat. Shout out Drea always. Of course, we always got to shout out Drea. Yeah, she's the best. She absolutely is the best. Again, super supportive in me being able to do this content and do what I want to do for my career and helping me follow my dreams. I always say, and I'm so glad that she's accepted this, because some people may look at this and think this is a weird way to describe your fiance, but I think it is actually accurate to describe at least my life. And she's many things to me beyond my best friend and all those other things. She is the special counsel. Just like Paul Heyman was the special counsel, to the tribal chief Roman Reigns. Like almost any decision that comes with not just my personal life, but actually my career, she's the first person that gets an ear in terms of like me bouncing things off of her, bouncing ideas off of her. Naming this 40 Days and 40 Nights, something that we had to talk about. She's a naming expert. She works in marketing. So she's a special counsel for your boy. So if you appreciated anything I brought to the table from a professional standpoint, not just for me as a person and me as a personal person, obviously, but just in terms of my professional work or anything, she always deserves a shout out because, again, she's a special counsel to everything that happens with your boy EJ Stewart. So 2 times, let's give another round of applause to Andrea Lynch. Might be the last time we get to shout her out because we're on the second to last day of 40 Days and 40 Nights. But I want to thank you guys so much for checking me out, man. This was a fun one. Almost 3 hours. Almost 3 hours in solo. You guys got a real treat today. I hope you guys appreciated it. We'll be back tonight with more 40 Days and 40 Nights. So we'll see what we get into tonight. We'll see what our fun guests we get into tonight. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, New Generation Media, on YouTube. Follow me on X, EJ_Stewart. And follow me on Instagram, AshtonEJ. And of course, if you want to catch the audio version of these episodes, search New Generation Podcast Network, wherever you get your podcasts. Subscribe to the channel, and of course, give us a 5-star review. I'm EJ Stewart. I'll see you guys later.